In a world where three separate realms collide, where heroes meet magic, and boosted gear meets miraculous.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei and Girls Got Teleported to Miraculous Ladybug World with Deku movie. Before we start, please go support Josu5 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken characters' gender, but of course Issei is a male. Chapter Prologue. Opening of this story. Merry-Go-Round, the 9th opening of Boku no Hero Academia, Latin-Spanish cover. Singer. David Delgado. Lateral square. Inside what appears to be a river down in the depths of the river was a brown-haired boy joined 3 girls, one was a redeed, and the others were a blue-haired and an orange-haired girl, and the 4 were injured and unconscious, but the brown-haired boy would be thinking only one thing. Narrates. Why did they do this to me that I did so bad that they dared to do that to me? Surely you will wonder who I am. Well, my name is Issei Hyodo. I am the bearer of the Red Emperor Dragon, better known as Sekiryuutei. But you will wonder who are the girls who are with me. Well, the redeed is Rias Gremory, heir of the Gremory clan, and the others are Xenovia the 4th and Arena Shidu. They are my partners, but you will wonder where we are and how we ended up here and why we are hurt. Well, if you want to know, I will tell you. Flashback time ago. High school DxD world. In the streets of Kuo City, our favorite brown-haired boy was seen walking while thinking about everything that happened months ago, since he had fought against Ria's cousin Sarah Bale, in addition to managing to stop the Chaos Brigade. But our brown-haired boy was thinking about something else. Issei's thoughts. Issei. I feel a little sad since it's been more than a month and a half since Asia, Akeno, Rossweisse, Gabriel, and also Yusaka and Lefei don't talk to me much anymore. The only ones who are always with me are Rias, Xenovia, Irina, and also Kaneko and Kuroka, but I would still like to know what happens to the other girls who don't talk to me anymore. Out of your thoughts. But that Issei would continue walking until he reached his house. Issei. Well, I hope the girls are there. At that Issei would enter the house. Meanwhile in the occult club, Rias was together with Xenovia and Irina talking a little. Rias. It's been a long time. Do you think Ice-kun will propose to us? Xenovia. I hope and that happens soon since I would like to be married to Ice-kun. Irina. Me too, even Kaneko and Kuroka want the same. Rias. What I wondered is what will happen to the others since they don't even talk to Ice, that makes me curious. Xenovia. We're curious to know that too. Irina. Well, for now we should go back home, Ice-kun should have already returned. Rias. Yes, but first come with me, Sona wants to talk to us. Thus the 3 would leave the occult club heading to the student council. Meanwhile at Issei's house he wouldn't see the girls, but he would read a note from Rias telling him that she is in the occult club. Well, in a note that Kaneko left, she explains that she went to train with Kuroka. Greg. Hey buddy, do you have that gift you wanted to give to the angel girl? Issei. If it weren't for Azazel and Izuku we couldn't have created this with the necklace, Irina won't fall. Greg. That's good, mate. At that point Issei would be going up the elevator until he would reach the 2nd floor where his room was, but as he approached he thought about something. Issei's thoughts. Issei. I hope the girls like the surprise I have for them since it's time for them and me to get married. I just hope the others wanted. Out of your thoughts. At that Issei would hear strange noises coming from the room, and as he approached he would hear a cry of pleasure that belonged to Akeno. Issei. No, it can't be. Greg. Mate, don't open the door. At that Issei would open the door and would see what was happening. There were Asia and Akeno and Rossweisse and Gabriel, together with Lefei and Yusaka, and they were all naked and were having relations with none other than Vali Lucifer. Issei crying. No, it can't be. Why did you do this to me, girls? What did I do wrong? Suddenly a surprise attack would send Issei flying and fall into the garden of the house. Issei. What the buck? Greg. That's why I told you not to open the door. That's where Vali would appear. Vali. Nice to see you again, unhappy Red. Issei. Damn, how dare you do that to some of my girls. Vali. They don't love you anymore anyway, you're just an idiot. Akeno. It's true Issei, we don't love you anymore. Asia. Vali is much better than you and he is not a pervert like you. Rossweisse. Besides, he knows how to pamper us. Gabriel Lefei Yusaka. And he is a better man than you. Issei crying. But I changed my attitude so that our relationship would improve since I knew that you didn't like me the way I am, but you cheated on me with that damn Vali. I see that the only ones who do love me are Rias, Xenovia, Irina, and also Kaneko and Kuroka. Vali. No matter how much I finish you off, those bitches will be able to meet you. And that the girls together with Vali would begin to attack Issei, leaving him wounded since for some strange reason, he could not activate the balance breaker, so Issei would fall to the ground wounded. But before the girls and Vali finished off Issei, Rias, Xenovia and Irina appeared, who were enraged to see what they did to their boy. Rias. I can't believe it, so this was the reason why you guys weren't talking to Ice anymore. Xenovia. You guys are bucking bitches, how dare you do that to Ice. Irina. Since he always protected you from all danger and you repay him by cheating on him. Volley. If you love Issei so much, save him from this. And that volley would launch an attack that would go towards Issei, but Rias and Xenovia and Irina would protect Issei from the attack, but they would end up injured and on the ground. Keno. Now volley-kun, you can kill them. Volley. I already know that. That volley was going to launch an attack, but Kaneko and Kuroka would appear, both launching a burst of Senjutsu, but volley would launch the attack, so the attacks would collide, creating great pressure in the air. Kuroka. We won't let them hurt Ice Naya. Kaneko. We will protect Senpai no matter what happens. Volley. Damn DAs. And that volley would increase his power, while Kaneko and Kuroka could no longer withstand volley's attack for long, but in that, due to the amount of energy released and the great air pressure behind Issei, a portal would open, impressing Kuroka and Kaneko. At that, Issei would slowly open his eyes, seeing Kuroka and Kaneko. Issei. CC girls. Kaneko. Issei senpai, take care of yourself. Kuroka. Remember this, Ice Naya, we will always love you, and I thank you for helping me reconcile with Shirin Naya, and wherever you are, remember that we will always love you. Kaneko. And be happy with the president and with Xenovia and Irina senpai. At that, the two Nekomatas would approach Issei to then give him a kiss each and then push him towards the portal, together with Rias and Xenovia and Irina, who were still unconscious, and then Issei fell unconscious, but not before saying. Issei crying. No, Kaneko-chan, Kuroka. And that, Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Irina would cross the portal, and then the two Nekomata sisters would hug each other tightly, and volley's attack would hit them full on, disappearing in a jiffy. Seeing that, I went and the girls would just smile happily. Volley. Goodbye, damn red. End of flashback. Meanwhile, in another world, more specifically the world of Boku no Hero Academia. How in the original story Izuku and Bakugo were fighting against Nine, the villain who can use other gifts, but here the little Kitsuma, who possessed the gift of cellular regeneration, was being protected like his sister Majoro by Nijire and Uraraka and Momo, who were injured in that Bakugo would give a big explosion to Nine, and so he and Izuku would think that everything was over, but. And just like in the original story, Izuku and Bakugo would manage to defeat Nine, but in that, Izuku and Bakugo would fall to the ground and Izuku was almost conscious, but in that, Izuku would feel that they hugged him, seeing that they were Uraraka, Momo, and Nijire. Izuku. CCC girls. Nijire. Izuku-kun, calm down, you managed to win, you're amazing, cough cough. Izuku. See girls, you are very hurt like me. Uraraka. And then it doesn't matter, Deku-kun, we just want to be with you, cough cough cough, since you are more hurt than us. Momo. At least let us be with you, Izuku-kun, since we cough cough cough. Izuku. You guys cough cough. Uraraka, Momo, Nijire. We love you, Izuku. Deku-kun. That had surprised Izuku, who, despite being hurt, would blush. Izuku. Really? Uraraka. Cough cough, yes, Deku-kun, I fell in love with you for your great determination and your beautiful smile, since you inspired me to continue forward on my path to being a hero. Momo. I fell in love with you when I saw your determination during the attack of the League of Villains. You were willing to save us all. Cough, cough, cough. From then on, I began to feel something for you, so much so that the times you hurt yourself, I worried about you, I was afraid that you would die. Nijire. And I fell in love with you since I met you, and seeing your beautiful smile and attitude, and also your great determination that you used to save Eri-chan. Before I didn't know what this feeling was, but then I understood it, and it is that I love you, Izuku-kun, cough cough, despite my age, for me that doesn't matter. That surprised Izuku and made him red as a tomato despite being hurt. Izuku. You know, I also feel the same way about you, but cough cough cough, I thought you would reject me, but now that I know what you feel for me, I feel very happy, so I accept your feelings. And that Uraraka would passionately kiss Izuku and then Momo and then Nijire. Izuku blushed and responded to the kisses that the girls gave him, but suddenly Izuku would fall unconscious, as would Uraraka, Momo and Nijire. But then Izuku's body would start to shine, showing that One for All was still in him, but suddenly a strange portal would appear under Izuku, thus the portal swallowing Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Nijire. Meanwhile, in the world of Darling and the Franxx. As in the original story, Hero and Zero Two were fighting against the Klaxosaur from the original story, Strelizia would turn golden, and with her great combat spear, she would launch herself to destroy the Klaxosaur. Just like in the original story, Hero and Zero Two would die, but in that Hero would open his eyes, seeing that he was in a floating place. Author's note. Watch this video up to 042, end of note. Both would close their eyes thinking that they would die and that they would both begin to disappear, but then a strange portal would absorb them. Back to the present with Issei. He was still unconscious under the river, but… Drake. Mate. Then that Issei upon hearing Drake's scream would wake up realizing that he was inside a river, so he would quickly grab Rias, Xenovia and Arena and then start swimming to find a way out of the river, managing to find an opening leaving the river, seeing that he was in a kind of strange place that seemed to be a city, and seeing that it was early morning, Issei would quickly get out of the river, also taking Rias, Xenovia and Arena out of the river. Issei. Cough 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 thanks Drake for waking me up. Drake. You're welcome mate and also look. At that Rias, Xenovia and Arena would wake up coughing as they were almost choking. Issei. Rias, Xenovia, Arena are fine. At that moment, upon seeing Issei, the girls became happy and hugged Issei tightly. Author's note. Listen to this melody for this moment end of note. Then the four of them would be leaning against a wall. Rias. And what happened after we were unconscious? Sad Issei. Kaneko and Kuroka tried to save us, but they ended up dying. At that Issei would be crying since he could not do anything to protect two of the girls who did love him. Seeing that, Rias, Xenovia and Arena would hug Issei tightly to calm him down, which they would manage to achieve. Rias. Calm down Ice-kun, we are with you. Xenovia. And we will never abandon you because we love you. Arena. And that will never change. Issei crying. Thanks girls. Then that Rias would use magic to create a blanket for the four of them and then the three of them would cover themselves since it was very cold in the early morning. Issei. Tomorrow we will find out where we are, well rest girls. Rias Xenovia Arena. Rest Ice-kun. So the four of them would fall asleep, but before going to sleep Issei would put the necklace on Arena and then she would fall asleep. And so a new adventure is about to begin for Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena, but not only for them, but also a new adventure for Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire, and also Hero and Zero 2. Chapter 2. A New World, Catalyst Heroes Day Part 1. Author's note. I'm leaving the full chapter here in case you want to see it at the end of the note. It was already day and the sun had already fully risen, and the people in the city of Paris were preparing for the Day of the Heroes, but near where there was a river, there was Issei together with Rias and Xenovia and Arena still sleeping, but Issei would wake up seeing that it was already day. Issei. AIUOMMM girls wake up it's already day. And that Rias, Xenovia and Arena would wake up seeing Issei, and then the three of them would kiss their beloved brown-haired girl. Rias Xenovia Arena. Good morning Ice-kun. Issei. Good morning girls. Xenovia. I guess we'll just have to figure out where we are now. Rias. Yes, but hey Arena, what about that necklace around your neck? Arena. At that moment, Arena would see that she had a necklace around her neck. Arena. And what is this? Issei. It's a gift for you. I ask Azazel and Izuku for help creating that necklace. With it on, you will never fall. This way, you will continue to be my beautiful angel. At that, Arena would hug Issei tightly and then give him a kiss. Arena. Thank you Ice-kun I love you. Issei. You're welcome. Rias. It's amazing that they could create something like that. Xenovia. But back to the topic we are on. Issei. I don't know but I think we are in another world, but also that maybe we are in a country in this world, but I don't know which one it is. That's what Drake would talk about. Drake. If they turned around they would realize. At that point, the four of them would turn around, looking from where they were at the Great Eiffel Tower of the city of Paris. Rias surprised. Maybe we are in Paris. Xenovia. This is amazing, I always wanted to visit Paris in our world. Arena. Me too. Issei. Well that already solves our question of where we are, but we still don't know if someone or something supernatural exists in this world. Rias. For now we'll stay here for a while. So the four of them would lean back against the wall again. Issei's thoughts. Issei. Hey Drake, did you want to ask me something? Drake. Yeah buddy, I wanted to ask you why you haven't proposed to girls yet. Issei. Why after what happened for the moment I will wait a while, but don't worry I plan to ask Rias, Xenovia and Arena to marry me, rest assured partner. Drake. Well, I hope so. Out of your thoughts. At that Issei would see a newspaper and grab it. Issei. Oh hell, I forgot I can't understand French. Rias Xenovia Arena. Neither of us know how to understand French. Drake. I know I'll translate them. At that point, Drake would begin to translate a text that caught his attention. Drake. Today is Heroes Day, the day when all Parisians can be heroes, in addition to honoring our heroes Ladybug and Chat Noir, who have saved us many times from the clutches of the evil hawk moth. Issei. Heroes. Rias. Maybe in this world there is no supernatural, but there are certainly heroes and villains. Xenovia. Well if that's the case it means that today Parisians are celebrating this day. Arena. They also celebrate it to honor their heroes. Issei. Well, for now, that's what we know about this world, but it's strange that I don't feel a negative or demonic energy. Greg. Well, if they feel negative energy, it must be from those they call akumatized. Meanwhile in an alley in the city of Paris, Izuku was lying on the ground and next to him were Uraraka, Momo and Najire, who were slowly waking up. Uraraka. Hey, where are we? Momo. Looks like we're in an alley. Najire. And it seems that we are no longer hurt like Izuku-kun. At that Uraraka and Momo would see that it was true, Izuku was no longer hurt and his hero suit was like new. Uraraka. Well, for the moment, having our hero costumes in public is not recommended, so Yayoi Rozu-san could you please create clothes for us? Momo. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. 23 minutes later. The girls now had normal clothes, while their hero costumes were kept in their briefcases that they had. Suddenly Izuku would wake up seeing the girls. Izuku. Hey, girls are fine. The girls quickly hugged Izuku tightly and he hugged him back, but he realized that he was no longer hurt. Izuku. Hey, what happened? I was supposed to be hurt and so were you. Uraraka. Well, we don't know what happened Deku-kun or how we ended up in this alley. Momo. What we do know is that we are fine and that is what matters. Afterwards, Momo would give clothes to Izuku so that he could take off his hero costume, but not before the girls left the alley and saw the street where they were. Najire. How strange, weren't we supposed to be on Naboo Island? Uraraka. Yes, but it doesn't seem like we're on the island and it seems like we're in another city. Then that Izuku would come out in normal clothes and his hero suit was stored in his briefcase. Izuku. Girls, I wanted to ask you something. Momo. What's happening Izuku-kun? At that Izuku would get nervous as well as blush. Izuku. Well, I would like to know if you would like to be my partners. That had made Uraraka, Momo and Najire happy since they were waiting for him to ask them that. Uraraka Momo Najire. Yes, we want to be your Izuku Deku-kun couples. At that point, the first to kiss Izuku would be Uraraka and Izuku would kiss back. Afterwards it would be Momo. And finally it would be Najire. Izuku super blushed. See girls, I love you. Uraraka Momo Najire. We love you too Izuku Deku-kun. Then the four would start walking, but then Uraraka would see a newspaper on the ground. Uraraka. My Ernesto. And that Izuku and Momo and Najire would see the newspaper and see a picture of Ladybug in chat noir. Izuku. Are they heroes? Najire. It seems that they are the same age as you, Momo and Uraraka, so I don't think they are professionals at that age. Momo. Let's see, it says, today is Heroes Day, the day in which all Parisians can be heroes. Also, this is the day in which we honor our heroes for saving us from the villain known as Hawkmoth and his evil akumatized ones. Uraraka. Well, that's strange, but how did you know how to read that Momo if it's supposed to be in French? Momo. Well, the thing is that I learned a little of this language. Najire. So that means we're in Paris. Izuku. Yes, but the strange thing is that I never heard of any young heroes in Paris. Uraraka. For now, we have to find out more about the city. So the four would continue walking. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Gabriel Agreste, Hawkmoth would send one of his Akumas to Layla Rossi, turning her into a Vulpina again. Meanwhile in the streets of Paris people were watching the parade and at the top of the Eiffel Tower was Vulpina, who is using her power to create an illusion of Ladybug in chat noir. Girl. Look, mommy Ladybug looks very strange. Lady. Please dear, that's not Ladybug. At that, the lady would look up and would actually see that it was indeed Ladybug and chat noir fighting. CHATNOIR fake. Everyone stay away, she was akumatized. At that everyone would run. Ladybug, fake. Ha, it's fear I smell kitty if you were looking for trouble you found it. And that the two would continue fighting. Reporter. Ladybug and chat noir are fighting, this is incredible, ladies and gentlemen. And that they continued fighting, running for the parade balloons. Ladybug, fake. It's gone my sweet kitty, give me your miraculous. CHATNOIR fake. If Hawkmoth wants a ring, let him make one. At that point, the two would be on one of the balloons that were first in front. LADYBUG false. It's not good to refuse a friend of a friend's request. CHATNOIR fake. We won't be friends until she's decumatized. In that, like in the original story, everyone would think that Chat Noir had died and that Ladybug was now evil. In Hawkmoth's lair he would grab another Akuma. Hawkmoth. List Natalie. Natalie. They have denied you the ability to fulfill your dream for a long time. I will do everything to end the reign of Ladybug in chat noir. Hawkmoth. Good. At that the Hawkmoth Akuma would enter Natalie's tablet. Hawkmoth. Catalyst, you have always been my most faithful follower. I give you the ability to increase your powers. Thus Natalie would become a catalyst. At that catalyst would put his hand on the Hawkmoth's staff. Catalyst. Hawk Moth, I give you the power to release all the Akumas you want. From now on you are the powerful Scarlet Moth. So Hawk Moth would become Scarlet Moth, and with his staff, he would begin to turn the Akumas into Scarlet Akumas. Scarlet Moth. My little Akumas are back, find the Parisians suffering from the loss of Chat Noir and Ladybug, and curse each and every one of them. Thus the Akumas would go out to the city of Paris. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Marinette was trying to make the dessert she had promised. Marinette. I have 32 minutes left for lunch to finish. If I make 10 macaroni minutes, I will have a total of. At that Marinette would see that her macaroni was burnt. Marinette. Total failure, oh help me Tiki. Tiki. Do you want me to bring a little more sugar? Marinette. Better, why can't I transform into Ladybug with luck? My enchanted amulet will give us a whisk or a giant magic oven. At that Tiki would look at Marinette badly. Marinette. If I knew, it wouldn't be very heroic to use my powers for my own benefit. Tiki. Just tell everyone the truth. Marinette. But that will ruin the party. Tiki. It's Heroes Day, nothing could ruin the party. Meanwhile with Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena, they remained in the same place. Issei. I think we better start walking a little to find out a little more about this world. Rias. You're right Ice-kun. Xenovia. I'll wait and find a place to eat a little since I'm hungry. Arena. Exactly, I'm hungry too. At that moment, the four of them would go up some stairs and see a bakery and approach it, but then the door would open and a girl would bump into Rias, and it was none other than Marinette. Marinette. Oh sorry I didn't realize. Rias. Don't worry, I'm fine. Marinette. Oh right, I haven't introduced myself. My name is Marinette Duping Cheng. Rias. It's good that you understand my language, but well my name is Rias Gremory and he is my boyfriend Issei Hyodo and they are Xenovia the 4th and Arena Shidu. Marinette. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, but for now I have to go. See you. So Marinette would go to her school which was on the other side of her house. Issei. They felt the energy that was inside his bag. Xenovia. Yes, it's a little small, but what could it be? Arena. Well, for now let's buy some bread because I'm hungry, 1 minute later. The four of them were eating some bread they got at the bakery. Arena. This bread is delicious. Xenovia. You better say it, she asked me if in our world the bread from Paris is as delicious as this one. Rias. We'll never know. Issei. Literally this is very rich. Meanwhile, at Marinette School, as in the original story, the Scarlet Akumas would akumatize most of the students except for a few. And Marinette would go into the women's restrooms and then Tiki would come out of Marinette's bag. Marinette. There are too many akumatized people, it would be very foolish to fight against everyone. We have to go to Master Fu now. So Marinette would transform into Ladybug. Meanwhile Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena would have finished eating, but then Issei would look up and see the Scarlet Akumas. Issei. What the buck? Rias. Those butterflies are not normal, they have negative energy. Xenovia. They're getting closer to us. Arena. They must be destroyed. And that Rias using her power of destruction would end the Scarlet Akumas. Rias. Something bad is happening. Issei. Let's find out what's going on. Meanwhile with Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire. The four continued walking, but they would see the Scarlet Akumas. Izuku. What the hell? Uraraka. This doesn't look good at all. Momo. Maybe there are heroes here, but we still have to take care of this. So the girls would go into an alley and Izuku would do the same and then Izuku would come out in his hero costume. Author's note. Izuku's costume is the one he wears in the My Hero Academia Heroes Rising movie, only I couldn't find the image XD end of note. After the other alley, Uraraka, Momo and Najire would come out in their hero costumes. Izuku. Well it's time for us to get into action. Uraraka Momo Najire. See Izuku Deku-kun. So the four would begin to move seeing that there were many Scarlet Akumas. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Gorizilla had Adrian in his hand, but he would free himself by going to an alley. Plaga. You see that, I hardly destroyed anything. Adrian. You are a hero. So Adrian would transform into a Chat Noir. Meanwhile Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena would be running in the streets of Paris, seeing that there were many Scarlet Akumas. Issei. Where the hell did these things come from? Rias. I have no idea, but there are too many. Meanwhile Ladybug had taken care of Invisiblina who was following her and so Marinette would go with Master Fu and he would give her the Miraculous that she needed, but in that Master Fu would say. Master Fu. Marinette, I feel like you'll have more help in this battle. Marinette. Seriously, well, I hope you help me a lot. Afterwards Ladybug would give the Turtle and Fox Miraculous to Alia and Nino, thus transforming the two into Shell and Rena Rouge. Meanwhile, Chat Noir went to give the Bee Miraculous to Chloe, so she is transforming into Queen Bee. Afterwards Ladybug and Chantoir and the others would be watching Hawkmoth's army of scarlet akumatized people gathered at the Eiffel Tower. But in the distance was Issei, who had his balance breaker on. Issei. I asked him what the hell is going on, Drake. Drake. I have no idea, mate, but this is very strange, and besides, those heroes are there. On that. You must be a hero of the city too, right? He looks just as young for a pro hero still. At that Issei would turn around, seeing that there were no one more and no less than Izuku and Najire. Issei. And who are you? Izuku. Well, that's what I'd like to know. Issei. My name is Hyodo Issei, and you? Izuku. My name is Izuku Midoriya. Najire. And my name is Najire Hado. Issei. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, but I think that you, like me, are not from this world. Izuku confused. Another world? What are you talking about? Najire. I think maybe that's why this city has heroes who are young, maybe here it doesn't matter if you're a professional. At that point, Scarlet Moth would appear at the Eiffel Tower, surprising Ladybug and her companions, and also surprising Issei, Izuku, and Najire. Then that Catalyst would speak telepathically with Scarlet Moth. Catalyst. Good luck, Scarlet Moth. At that point a drone would focus on Scarlet Moth. Scarlet Moth. Ladybug, Chantoir, look at my army of akumatized people, and don't doubt that today is Scarlet Moth's day. Seeing that, Ladybug and Chantoir and their companions would only get smart. Queen Bee. Don't believe it so much, Hawk Moth, I'll sting you where it hurts the most. Chantoir. It's just 10 villains against all of us. Whoever wants Hawk Moth, we can play rock, paper, scissors. Shell. I will protect you. Rena Rouge. No, I will protect you. Shell. Not me to you. Rena Rouge. Not me to you. Shell. I'm not pretty to you. At that Chantoir would approach Ladybug. Chantoir. So what will be the heroic plan, my lady? At that Ladybug would be seriously looking towards the Eiffel Tower. While Issei together with Izuku and Najire looked at that seriously. Issei. He must be the one who protects the city. Izuku. We must be of help in case of emergency, we have to be alert. Najire. Why, what's happening isn't good at all. So the three would continue watching. Meanwhile, in an alley in the city of Paris, Hero and 02 were found, and next to them was a briefcase, and in that, Hero would wake up. Author's note. Hero and 02 are wearing their suits with which they pilot Strelizia, end of note. Hero. Hey, where am I? Hey 02. At that moment, Hero would see 02 next to him, who was waking up, and upon seeing his darling, he would hug him and then give him a kiss. 02. Darling, we are alive, I'm glad to hug you and kiss you. Hero. Me too, but weren't we supposed to be inside Strelizia before she died? 02. I don't know, but there's just a briefcase there that has its colors. In Hero I would see the briefcase and see how 2 strange keys were placed and some inputs to activate Strelizia that turned into a briefcase. Hero. I think Strelizia has become a briefcase and we can only activate it by turning these keys. 02. Well, that already solves something, but where we are, I don't think we are where we should be, meaning in our world. Hero. We'll find out for now, let's get out of this alley. At that Hero would grab the briefcase and then leave the alley and start walking with 02 who was holding Hero's hand. Chapter 3. The battle begins, May Day of Heroes Part 2. Previously Issei together with Rias and Xenovia and Arena ended up in a world where heroes exist instead of supernatural beings. On the other hand, Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire also ended up in the same world as Issei and his 3 girls after the 2 groups realized that everything was strange, so Issei was able to get to know Izuku and Najire a little, and the 3 would be watching the battle that was about to begin. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. Author's note. I'm leaving the full chapter here in case you want to see it at the end of the note. Meanwhile in the streets of Paris were Rias, Xenovia and Arena running while checking if there were no people in danger, but suddenly the 3 would crash into something or rather someone. Rias, Xenovia, Arena. Ouch, that hurt. Sorry, we were in a hurry. True. At that moment the girls would see that they had collided with 2 girls, and these were none other than Uraraka and Momo in their hero costumes. Rias. Excuse me, who are you? Uraraka. Hello, my name is Uraraka Achako, and this is my friend Momo Yaoi Rozu. Momo. Nice to meet you, and who are you? Rias. I am Rias Gremory. Xenovia. I am Xenovia the 4th, and this is our friend Arena Shidu. Arena. Nice to meet you, and from what I can see, you're not from this world like we are. Uraraka. Another world. You mean we're in another world? Momo. Maybe so. In that store, a television would be shown showing Nadia Chamak, who was akumatized into Queen Promisha. Queen Scoop. Don't go, it's the news, don't want to miss what's coming, you'll have the opportunity to see the great leader Scarlet Moth triumph. At that point, one of the drones would focus on Scarlet Moth. The girls would be surprised to see that. Rias? That must be that hawk moth. Xenovia? But it looks strange and his power is incredible. Irina? I asked how Ice-kun is doing. Uraraka? Maybe Deku-kun is there too. Momo? Let's hope things go well for him and Najire. Rias? Well, we keep an eye on things, why don't we take advantage of getting to know each other a little? Uraraka? Sounds like a good idea. At that point the girls would start walking as they got to know each other better. Meanwhile at the Eiffel Tower. In the distance Issei, along with Izuku and Najire, were watching the heroes from afar, who apparently had a plan. Izuku? And what will we do if they need help? Issei? The best thing to do is to observe and see how under control they have the situation. Najire? It's a good plan, don't you think so, Izuku-kun? Izuku? Yes it is. At that the boys would hear Ladybug's next words. Ladybug? Hawk Moth, I hope you enjoyed Vulpina's illusion because the real Ladybug will never give you her miraculous. Chat Noir. And we have a better idea, you're going to give us your miraculous shell. You might have an entire army of akumatized warriors. Rena Rouge. And we are a team of superheroes. Queen Bee. You're going to regret wearing that ridiculous outfit. So Ladybug and Chat Noir and their companions getting on guard and ready to fight. Scarlet Moth. Ha 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 ha, so you want to fight, then let's begin. This is how the fight between the Scarlet Akumatized Army and Ladybug and Chat Noir's team would begin. The fight would be like in the original story and would end the same with Rena Rouge and Carapace and Queen Bee akumatized. Chat Noir. Now is a good time to use the enchanted amulet. Ladybug. I need everyone to make it work, it's no use now. Then that Ladybug and Chat Noir would be surrounded by the Scarlet Akumatized ones. Chat Noir. I don't know how we'll get out of this, my lady. Ladybug. Let's not lose faith or we'll be akumatized too. Chat Noir. What a catastrophic situation, don't you think? Ladybug. That's the cataclysm, use it under us. So Chat Noir would use the cataclysm on the ground, thus creating a crater. Queen Scoop. Ladybug and Chat Noir will have been destroyed or. Suddenly, some air projectiles would hit the army of Scarlet Akumatized that were near the crater. Scarlet Moth. What was that? In that, I would speak telepathically as a catalyst. Catalyst? I don't know. At that, some energy waves knocked down the akumatized giants, and then an energy attack almost hit Scarlet Moth, and she would look in the direction where those attacks came from and would see three silhouettes that would quickly disappear. Scarlet Moth. It seems there are more allies of Ladybug and Chat Noir around here. Meanwhile Issei along with Izuku and Najire had escaped from there. Issei. Well, that was already a warning for that guy. Izuku. Yes, but what he asked me is where did those heroes called Ladybug and Chat Noir go? Najire. I have no idea, Izuku-kun, but for now, let's look for those heroes in case they're around. Issei. Wow, your girl sure has some good ideas. Izuku. Haha, she's like that. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Ladybug and Chat Noir would leave the sewers before the water froze, and in the distance, Issei, along with Izuku and Najire, would see that where the Eiffel Tower was, everything had frozen. Izuku. Okay, that in itself is a problem. And that they would listen to Ladybug. Ladybug. You don't want to miss what's coming next. At that, Queen Primo's cameras would focus on Ladybug and Chat Noir. Ladybug. I'll show everyone that the real Ladybug is back. At that, Ladybug would release a bunch of purified Akumas. And on the streets of Paris the girls would see the purified Akumas. Rias. Wow, this is wow. Xenovia. These butterflies are beautiful when they don't have negative energy. Uraraka Momo. We agree with you, Xenovia-san. Irina. I asked how Ice-kun is doing. Meanwhile Hero and 02 would see the white butterflies impressed. Hero. This is amazing. 02. I say the same, darling. On that. I would like to see it too. At that moment, Hero and 02, upon hearing that voice, would look around and see that the voice was coming from the briefcase. Author's note. I don't remember if Strelizia could speak in darling in the Franks, but I hope so. End of note. Hero 02. Here's to Strelizia. Strelizia. Yes, it's me, it's a long story, but I'll explain it to you. Meanwhile, Ladybug and Chat Noir were escaping from the army of Scarlet Akumatized until they jumped over a barrier, and from there the Parisians would come out and begin to fight against the Scarlet Akumatized, and in the distance Issei, along with Izuku and Najire, were watching that. Izuku. Everyone can be a hero with or without powers. Najire. Exactly. In that, Rias, Xenovia and Irina would appear and they would be accompanied by Uraraka and Momo, so the girls would be helping the Parisians no matter what. Izuku. Incredible, Uraraka and Momo are helping too, I'm glad to see that. Najire. Yes, but I asked who the other girls are that are with them. Issei. These are my partners Rias Gremory, Xenovia the fourth and Irina Shidu. Izuku. Well, it seems they are heroes too. At that point the three would see that Ladybug and Chatnoir were leaving so they would follow them. Meanwhile in the Eiffel Tower Scarlet Moth was talking to her giant scarlet akumatized ones. Scarlet Moth. Finish them off my giants, destroy Chat Noir and Ladybug and anyone who tried to stop them. So the giants would leave. Back with Ladybug and Chat Noir, they were running while avoiding the giant scarlet akumatized ones who were stopped by the Parisians. And that Issei would appear who still had his balance breaker together with Izuku who had his mask on along with Najire. Ladybug. Hey, and who are you? Issei. Don't worry, we are allies. Izuku. We are heroes like you. Najire. Exactly. Chat Noir. Great, more help for this battle. And that Issei would see Ladybug and since he is not so blind he would realize that she is Marinette. Issei's thoughts. Issei. It seems that the girl we met is Ladybug. Greg. You can't even say it, mate. Out of your thoughts. Thus the five would reach the Eiffel Tower. Issei. We will be securing the perimeter, you guys finish off that villain. So Issei together with Izuku and Najire would leave. Ladybug. Okay, Chat Noir, you take care of the ice cream man. Chat Noir. Good, all this fighting made me hungry. At that before the last two giant scarlet akumatized would attack a female voice would be heard coming from the sky. Careful down there. So something would fall to the ground and when the smoke cleared it would be seen that it was a giant robot and this is none other than the most beautiful Franks of the entire darling in the Franks anime, in my opinion, than the beautiful Strelizia that inside was being piloted by Hero and 02. Issei Izuku Najire. What the heck? Ladybug Chat Noir. What is that thing? Strelizia. Woo, oh, this is incredible, we are back in action, don't you think? In the cockpit. Hero. Yes, and now you can communicate with us. 02. Now darling, let's do what we do best. Hero 02. Luchair. And that Strelizia with her battle spear would finish off the last two giant scarlet akumatized ones and then go to fight with those who remained in the city of Paris. Taking advantage of that, Ladybug and Chat Noir would go up to the Eiffel Tower, facing Scarlet Moth. Ladybug. There are only the three of us left, Hawk Moth. Thus Chat Noir would activate his cataclysm. And Ladybug would activate her enchanted amulet. Coming out a little box with black and red dots. Ladybug. This is a sign, Hawk Moth, that your miraculous will end up inside this box. Scarlet Moth. Are you sure you want to do it? How would you know if the wish I want to make isn't a bad thing? Ladybug. If you asked for that wish there would be a price to pay, plus what is your wish, Hawk Moth? Scarlet Moth. Give me your miraculous and you'll know. Without them realizing it, that was an illusion created by Volpina. Scarlet Moth. They're not supposed to change the world for the better. Ladybug. We change the world every day by saving people from your actions. Chat Noir. Your wish can only be something evil. But as in the original story, Ladybug and Chat Noir would manage to destroy Scarlet Moth's staff and she would become Hawk Moth again. And in the city of Paris the scarlet akumatized would return to normal. Rias. It seems that everything is over. Uraraka. Which means the heroes won. Meanwhile in the Eiffel Tower Hawk Moth had shot down Ladybug and Chat Noir. Hawk Moth. They are not going to win today or any other day. They are still young and immature heroes. They can remain transformed after using their powers. And that the Shell Shield would hit Hawk Moth and Ladybug and Chat Noir would see that they were Rena Rouge and Shell and Queen Bee. Rena Rouge. We help them. And that Ladybug using her yo-yo would make a giant net surrounding the Eiffel Tower. Ladybug. You're in our net, Hawk Moth, you won't be able to escape. Queen Bee. Poison. I'll sting him and it'll all be yours, Ladybug. From a distance Issei, along with Izuku and Najire, would see that the heroes had already won. Issei. Looks like they did it. Izuku. That villain has no escape now. Najire. Exactly. Back with Ladybug and Chat Noir and the others, how in the original story Natalie had used the peacock miraculous transforming into Mayara and thus creating a sentimenster. At that he felt the monster disappear, realizing that Hawk Moth has another ally. Ladybug. Before we go. At that, Ladybug would throw the little box into the sky and scream. Ladybug. Miraculous Ladybug. So everything would return to normal. Issei. You know we did a lot in this fight but still. At that the three would bump their fists. Issei Izuku Najire. Ganamos. At that a magic circle would appear in Issei's ear. Issei. Hey, Rias, I'm going there. Izuku. Hey, were you talking to someone through that strange circle? Issei. Yes, I'll ask you to accompany me. Hours later, what happened in the original story would be happening while on the roof of a building were Rias, Xenovia, and Arena, accompanied by Uraraka and Momo, but there were also Hiro and Zero too. Then Issei would arrive along with Izuku and Najire. Quickly Rias, Xenovia and Arena would go to hug their beloved brown-haired boy, and while Uraraka and Momo would hug Izuku tightly. Issei. Well, it seems they met Izuku's partners. Rias. Yes, but there are other people you should meet and who we met. Issei. And who are they? Izuku. Is it them perhaps? And Izuku was pointing to where Hiro and Zero two were. Xenovia. Yes, it's them. Uraraka. You see, Deku-kun, they were driving the giant robot that you surely saw. Najire. So they were driving that thing. Momo. Exactly, guys, could you introduce yourself? Hiro. Hello, my name is Hiro. Zero two. And I am Zero two and I am my hero's girlfriend, although I call her darling. Issei. I should assume that they are not from this world like us, right? Arena. Indeed, Ice-kun, and it's time for us all to talk about our worlds. And that the first would be Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire, who would tell everything about their world, about the quirks, about the professional heroes, about the UA Academy, and all the battles they have had until the Battle of Naboo Island against 9. Then Hiro and Zero two would explain everything about their world, about the Klaxosaurs and the Franks, and that they are half Klaxosaur, and they would tell them about Strelizia's abilities. Finally, Issei, Rias, Xenovia and Arena would tell everything about their world and everything related to the supernatural, up to when Issei discovered the girl's betrayal, and that 2 girls who did not betray him saved him, Rias, Xenovia and Arena. Everyone hearing about their worlds was surprised but saddened by what happened to Issei, Rias, Xenovia and Arena. Izuku. Hey Issei, don't feel bad, besides, now you have us. Hiro. You can consider us your new friends. Issei. Jejij thanks Izuku and Hiro. Uraraka. And why don't we become a new team of heroes for this world so we could help Ladybug and Chatnoir in their battle against that villain called Hawkmoth, they say. Momo Najire. Sounds good to us. Izuku. Sounds like a good idea. Hiro 02. Count us in. Strelizia. And with me too. Ria Xenovia Arena. Count on us. Issei. Hagamaslo. So our heroes would bump their fists and then watch the fireworks appear. But behind them a voice would be heard. I finally found them. At that, everyone would turn around and see a short man with a small creature, and this was none other than Master Fu. Issei. Excuse me, and who are you? Master Fu. Follow me and I will tell you. Later. Master Fu took our heroes to his house, and the boys would tell them about their worlds, leaving Master Fu Yue's impressed, and then, seeing that the boys are trustworthy, he would tell them about the miraculous, and that he is the guardian of all the miraculous. He also explained about the Quamus. Greg. What a guardian who protects sacred power jewels, that's impressive. Issei. Don't even mention it. Master Fu. Tell me, do you have a place to stay? 02. Oh yeah, I found a house in good condition, apparently the previous owner left it abandoned along with the furniture, and we all fit. Hiro. So don't worry. Master Fu. Well, I just ask you to help Ladybug and Chatnoir in their battle against Hawkmoth. All. Don't worry, Master Fu, we will help you. So the boys would leave, and with 02's instructions, they would arrive at the house that 02 found, and so everyone would go in and look for their rooms where one Izuku would sleep, but Uraraka, Momo and Najire would stay sleeping with him, and he would blush like a tomato and accept, and meanwhile in another room, Issei would sleep together with Rias, Xenovia and Arena, and in the last room Hiro and 02 would sleep together. After settling in, the kids would have dinner. Luckily the house had food, and then they would all go to sleep thinking about the new adventures they would experience in this new world. Chapter 4. Finally meeting the heroes of Paris. Previously, our protagonists were involved in the battle between Ladybug and Chatnoir and their companions against Scarlet Moth's army of scarlet akumatized beings, helping in whatever was necessary. After the battle, our protagonists got to know each other better and also met Master Fu and his Kwami ways. Afterward, our protagonists stayed in a house they found. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. Some time had passed after our protagonists arrived in that world, and some time had also passed after Heroes Day, during which time Master Fu was explaining a little more about the miraculous, leaving our protagonists very impressed. Also Rias, Xenovia and Arena became a little friends with Marinette since Issei told them that she is Ladybug, something that the girls realized. Current events. Our protagonists were in the living room of their home when Issei showed them a blackboard. Issei. Very well team. Listen, we have a situation, we need to talk to Ladybug and Chatnoir. Izuku. And why is that? Issei. Well, despite what we did when we arrived in this world, we have not earned the trust of Ladybug and Chat Noir, and they possibly think we are their enemies. Rias. Ice-kun is right, besides that we know who Ladybug is. Uraraka. Seriously, who is Ladybug? Issei. Xenovia and Arena show the photos. And that Arena would put a picture of Ladybug on the board, and then Xenovia would put a picture of Marinette on the board next to Ladybug's picture. Momo. Wait a minute, does that mean she's Ladybug? Issei. Indeed, Momo-san, we met Marinette when we arrived in this world. Xenovia. We also felt the energy of her Kwami, as those little creatures that Master Fu explained to us about are called. Najire. Aren't you supposed to say that Master Fu said that Ladybug and Chat Noir shouldn't know each other's identities? Arena. They do, but not us. Issei. Also thanks to Hero and 02, we also know who Chat Noir is, so Hero and 02, show the photos you got. Then Hero and 02 would put some pictures of Chat Noir and a picture of Adrien Agreste on the board. Hero. The boy's name is Adrien Agreste, son of the best designer in Paris, Gabriel Agreste. 02. And doing some research we realized that this boy is a Chat Noir, so now we know their identities. Izuku. Now it would be to talk to them to clear things up so they don't think we are their enemies. Issei. Exactly, any questions? Momo. Where we could talk to them? Rias. In the Eiffel Tower it would be a good idea, don't you think? All? Yes. At that point Waze would appear and Issei would quickly turn the board around so he wouldn't see. Issei. Hey, hello Waze, what's up? Izuku. Why so worried? And indeed Waze was worried. Waze. It's an emergency, guys, I need you to come to Master Fu's house and fast. So Waze would go. Issei. What does Master Fu need? Izuku. I don't know, but we have to go. Rias. It's fine that Ice-kun, Izuku-san, Hero, and 02 go, so we'll stay and take care of the house. 02. Good plan, but what about our horns? Hero. Yes, people would see it as strange. Momo. I think I have an idea. Minutes later. As in the original story, Marinette would be talking to Master Fu and he would ask her to do a favor. Deliver a letter to his longtime love, Marion, I think that's the lady's name. Then Marinette would leave and then Issei and Izuku and Hero and 02 would enter, who all had hats. Issei. Hola Maestro Fu. Izuku. Why did he need us? Master Fu. I just wanted to ask if you've already tried talking to Ladybug and Chat Noir. Hero. No, but we will do it when they have time. After all, you explained to us that after they use their powers, they detransform. 02. That's true. Master Fu. You should still try to talk to them, I wouldn't like them to think you are their enemies. Issei. Well, for now we're leaving. Minutes later. The boys were walking through the place where Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena were when they arrived in that world. Izuku. You guys appeared down that river. Issei. Yes, exactly. Hero. It's a miracle you were saved. 02. You and the girls would have literally died. They would then be going up the stairs, but 02 would collide with a lady who had a brooch with a Chinese symbol, and she was the Master Fu's girlfriend. 02. Oh sorry, I didn't watch my path. Marion. Don't worry, young lady. 02. Oh by the way, my name is 02 and he is my boyfriend Hero and they are our friends Issei Hyodo and Izuku Midoriya. Marion. It's a pleasure to meet you young people, but well, I have to go, but it was a pleasure to meet you. So Marion would leave and so would the boys who would decide to take a walk around Paris. Minutes later. The boys would be walking around Paris seeing how beautiful everything was. Issei. What a beautiful city. Izuku. And it looks prettier at night. 02. This city is also known as the City of Love. Hero. That's true. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Marion would be akumatized, becoming a reverter. So he's starting to use his power like this, making many things go back in time. Meanwhile on a train, as in the original story, Adrian would realize that there was a new akumatized person, so he would go into the bathroom. Flaga. A question you'll ask if those strange guys show up. Adrian. I don't know the truth, but there's no time to discuss it. So Adrian would transform into a Chat Noir. Meanwhile, the kids would watch Reversora making a mess. Issei. Shit, must be one of those new akumatized ones. Izuku. It's time to get into action. Good thing I have my suit in this briefcase. Issei. A question, Hero and 02, do you know how to fight without Strelizia? Hero. Yes, we know how to fight. 02. Exactly. Issei. Well then let's get into action. So the boys would see that there was no one there and Izuku would go into an alley and Issei would activate his balance breaker. Issei. It's time for action. In that reverse she was going to touch a citizen but Ladybug would stop her. Ladybug. Not so fast. Reverser. You disgusting bug with you, I have something pending. And that ladybug would save a woman who was walking back. Chat Noir. My lady, are you well? Are you well, my lady? Ladybug. Chat Noir attacked them, what were you waiting for? Chat Noir. Yes, I know. In that reversal it would explain the same thing as the original story, that by touching Ladybug, she would get to where Master Fu is. Ladybug. Chat Noir, I went with Master Fu, I shouldn't let him touch me. And that reverse was going to attack but… Izuku. Osh. It was Izuku who gave a strong punch to Reversora. Reverser. Who do you think you are? Izuku. Only someone who will beat you along with my friends. And that Issei would appear along with Hero and 02. Then how in the original story Ladybug and Chat Noir would hide and Ladybug would activate her enchanted amulet. So a tube comes out. Chat Noir. A pipe I think while we're hiding and the others could also fix a pipe. Then Ladybug would create a plan while the others listened attentively. Ladybug. Okay, now say Cataclysm in reverse. On that Chat Noir, I wouldn't know what to say. Ladybug. Silk attack. Chat Noir. Silk attack. Ladybug. Okay now pull the tube and follow me. Chat Noir. I'll follow you to the end of the world. Then, like in the original reverse story, I would be following Ladybug while Chat Noir went back and Ladybug would get to where there was an X, but that's it. Ladybug. Oh my ankle hurts. Reverser. You're mine. At that the boys would come out of their hiding place ready to help, but Ladybug would dodge Reversora, causing her to trip over the tube, and Chat Noir would activate the Cataclysm destroying the akumatized object. At that point the boys were about to leave, but would be entangled by Ladybug's yo-yo. Ladybug. Very well, who are you and are you friends or enemies? Then Issei el balance breaker to Issei desaparecido. Issei. Well if you want to know, see us at the Eiffel Tower in 2 days at night. Izuku. Es un trado. Ladybug. Chat Noir. It's okay. Afterwards, the two would retire, just like the boys. When the boys arrived home they would explain to the girls what happened. 2 days later. It was night at the Eiffel Tower. At the top of the Eiffel Tower the boys were waiting for Ladybug and Chat Noir. Rias. They've taken too long. Issei. We have to wait. This is how Ladybug and Chat Noir would arrive. Ladybug. Okay, let's settle this, who are you? Chat Noir. Yes, and what kind of powers do you have? Issei. Well my name is Issei Hyodo, and these are my partners Rias Gremory, Xenovia the 4th and Arena Shido. Izuku. I'm Izuku Midoriya, and they are my partners Uraraka Achako, Momoyaoi Rozu and Najire Hado. Hero. It's just us left, well my name is Hero, and she's my girlfriend 02. Ladybug. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, but now would you like to tell us about yourselves? The Y after a long explanation. Ladybug. It is very sad what happened to you Issei Hyodo, but in this world you and your partners will be safe. Issei. Gracious Ladybug. Rias. By the way, it was Master Fu who told us to tell you about ourselves. Xenovia. So there wouldn't be any problems. Chat Noir. Well, I knew the teacher's decision, well, I have to go, see you. So Chat Noir would leave. Arena. Marinette-san you can detransform now. Added surprised Marinette. Ladybug. Ooh you know it. Xenovia. We are not as blind as the city to not realize your secret identity. Izuku. We also know who Chat Noir is, but we won't tell you that. Ladybug. Okay, you guys get motes out. So Marinette would detransform. Najire. Yes, they were right, she is Ladybug. Momo. It's amazing that in this world you don't need a license to be a professional hero. Uraraka. If that's what we like. 02. Oh look this Kwami is very adorable. Hero. She must be Tiki. Marinette. That's right, she's Tiki my Kwami. Tiki. Nice to meet you. After a while talking Marinette would leave while the boys walked through the empty streets of Paris. Rias. Paris looks beautiful at night. Issei. Yes, that's true. Izuku. And what do we do while we're on our way home? Uraraka. I have an idea why don't we sing a song while we walk? Najire. That's a good idea. Momo. They don't want to accompany us, girls. Rias Xenovia Arena 02. It's okay. So the girls would start singing the next song. By the time the song is over, our protagonists would already be home and would then go inside to then go to sleep. Chapter 5. Ladybug and Chat Noir switch powers. Does Izuku share his secret? Previously, our protagonists made a plan to talk to Ladybug and Chat Noir, but then they managed to defeat the akumatized reverser. After 2 days, our protagonists were able to talk to Ladybug and Chat Noir, and after that, our protagonists returned home. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. The next day our protagonists were doing the typical thing in their house where they live. But while that happened, how in the original story one of Marinette's friends named Juleka wanted to be a model but felt insecure about herself, but her brother Luca would help her. Meanwhile our protagonists were watching some television. Issei. This is boring, there's nothing interesting to do. Izuku. We could go out for a bit, don't you think? Uraraka. Yes, but what about Hero and 02? Izuku. They will stay here and in case of emergencies, there will be a walkie-talkie so they can communicate with us. Issei. Then let's go. Meanwhile, as in the original story, instead of Juleka being the model in the video, Marinette would end up being the model, so she's feeling sad. Meanwhile in Hawkmoth's lair the following would happen. So with the Akuma and the Amuk Juleka she would become Reflecta, but accompanied by a sentimenster called Munecta. Meanwhile Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena would be walking through the place where the Eiffel Tower was while Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire were sitting on some benches while they saw that Marinette and her friends were there doing a photo session until a tremor would be heard and everyone including our protagonists would see Munecta. Issei. Don't buck with me, it's huge. Izuku. Okay, it's time to get into action. So the girls would go to a safe place and put on their hero costumes. While Izuku would put on his suit ready to fight and Issei would only activate the boosted gear and Rias would get ready to fight while Xenovia and Arena would take out their sacred swords. Izuku. I think we need Hero and 02's help now. Issei. I'll try to communicate with them, you entertain that thing. So Izuku and the girls went to train Munecta. Meanwhile Hero and 02 were looking for the boys, but they weren't there. Hero. Strelizia, you don't know where the others are. Strelizia. They said they would go out for a bit, but they shouldn't be long in coming back. At that 02 would grab the walkie-talkie. 02. See Digga. Issei. Hero, 02, we need you to come near where the Eiffel Tower is with Strelizia. We have an akumatized one here, and it's huge. 02. Let's go there. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Plaga would find Marinette, who had become Reflecta. Marinette. Plaga, what are you doing here, and what happened? Chatwar lost his Miraculous, and where is Tiki? Plaga. It's a long story, but for now you have to help the boys. I don't think they can entertain that akumatized girl for long. Marinette. Then there's no time to waste. So Marinette would get the cat Miraculous. And so she would transform into Lady Noir. Meanwhile, Tiki would find Adrian turned into Reflecta and he would put on the earrings. And so he would transform into Mr. Bug. Meanwhile the boys would try to train Strelizia, but they couldn't. Inside the doll. Reflecta. It's useless, none of you will stop me now, I'll make you look like me. On that. Strelizia. I don't think so. In that, Strelizia would fall from the sky ready to fight. Strelizia. Hey, you mess with someone your own size. In that Lady Noir would hit Munecta and Mr. Bug would also appear. The boys would be surprised to see that Ladybug and Chat Noir exchanged powers. Issei. Well, it seems this is new. Izuku. Well, let's hope Hero and 02 can fight that thing. While the boys began to evacuate the civilians who were nearby, Lady Noir and Mr. Bug would go up to the Eiffel Tower. After that Lady Noir would activate the Cataclysm. And the Cataclysm would cause Munecta to get out of control and a lightning bolt would hit Strelizia, sending her flying. While Mr. Bug was trying to figure out what to do with the enchanted amulet, our protagonists were trying to stop Munecta but were unable to do so. Then, as in the original story, Mr. Bug managed to capture the Akuma and the Amuk, returning everything to normal. Then the boys would lie down on the floor and Strelizia would sit down, making the floor shake. Issei. Uff, that was intense. Rias. Don't even say it, Ice-kun. While the boys were talking, Izuku would be thinking about something. Izuku's thoughts. Izuku. I don't know what to do. On the one hand I would like to tell Uraraka, Momo and Najire about One for All, but I don't know if it's the right thing to do even if I'm in another world, but I'll think about whether I can tell them. Out of your thoughts. Later it was night. Izuku was on the roof of the house still thinking, but also thinking about what had happened in his world. He worried about his friends, but still knew that they were strong, but then the green-haired girls went up to the roof and saw him looking at the city of Paris. The girls would just come up to see their green-haired boy and sit next to him. Uraraka. It's a nice night, don't you think so, Deku-kun? Izuku. Yes it is, and by the way, and the boys. Momo. Well, Issei-san and the girls went to sleep and Hero and 02 too. Najire. They really got tired of today. Izuku. I see. The four of them would continue to see the stars until the green-haired man decides to speak. Izuku. Hey girls, there's something I'd like to tell you. Uraraka, Momo, Najire. YKS Izuku, Deku-kun. Izuku. You know everything about my gift, right? Uraraka. It's really hard for you to control. Momo. And if you overdo it too much you end up breaking your bones. Najire. And apart from that your speed increases. Izuku. Yes, but well, you see, there is something I never wanted to tell about my gift and the only one who knows about this is Kaken, but it is time for you, being my partners, to know. So Izuku would tell Uraraka, Momo and Najire about One for All, about how All Might had transferred it to him so that he could become the next symbol of peace, and he would also tell them that One for All had other bearers as well, but that they were annihilated by All for One. The girls were impressed since they didn't expect Izuku's gift to be like that. Uraraka. Woo-oh, that's incredible Deku-kun, so you have the gift of All Might. Momo. That's why they look so much alike. Najire. It's incredible that you have such an incredible gift, but we still understand why you didn't want to tell anyone. Izuku. If all I wanted was to prevent you from getting involved in my battle against All for One, all I want is to protect those I loved and protect you. Uraraka. We know Deku-kun, but you don't have to be afraid, we will always be with you. Momo Najire. Exactly, we will always be with you Izuku-kun. So the first to kiss Izuku would be Najire, then Uraraka and finally Momo. After that, the four of them would continue looking at the stars, seeing that the night was very beautiful. Izuku. Would you like to hear a song? Uraraka. Yes, we would like to. Momo. You know how to sing Izuku-kun. Izuku. Yes, I learned a little. Najire. Well then show us, we would like to hear you sing. Izuku. It's okay. So Izuku would start singing the next song. At the end of the song, Uraraka, Momo and Najire would hug Izuku tightly and he would hug them back. Uraraka Momo Najire. Tiamamos Izuku Deku-kun. Izuku. I love you girls too. So the four of them would continue to watch the stars, hugging each other. Meanwhile in the world of High School DxD. Everyone was buried from what happened to Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena. All the factions were searching for Vali and the girls who betrayed Issei but were unsuccessful. Ravel Phoenix, who always visited the Gremory clan to be close to Issei, she ended up finding out what happened, which destroyed her since she had feelings for Issei and she thought about it that day, but she couldn't anymore and she also found out that apart from killing Issei, Rias, Xenovia and Arena, Kaneko and Kuroka had also died, which depressed her too much since she lost her friends. Current events. In the student council, Sona tried to cheer up her sister, who was sad because she had feelings for Issei, but when she found out, she became extremely depressed, always crying, not wanting to do anything, and sometimes not wanting to leave her room. But there was also Ravel who was still depressed. Sona. Come on sister, you and Ravel should cheer up. Sad Ravel. What's the point, Issei-kun is dead and it's all because of those bastards. Sad Ravel. It's true, without Issei-kun we can't be happy. Sona. Come on, just go out with me for a walk. I'm sure you'll be in a good mood. Come on, cheer up. Seraph Ravel. It's okay, Sona-chan. Afterwards the three would leave, but Seraph and Ravel still felt sad, but they had to move forward, but what they don't know is that their beloved chestnut is still alive, but is in another world. Chapter 6. Another akumatized girl and her name is Miraculous. Previously our protagonists had to face an akumatized woman who had a sentimenster called Munekta, but with the help of Ladybug and Chat Noir, who had exchanged powers, they would manage to defeat the akumatized woman and the sentimenster. After that, Izuku told his girls about One for All, surprising the girls, but they would understand why Izuku had hidden the secret. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. Right now Issei and Izuku were in the Eiffel Tower waiting for Ladybug and Chat Noir and their companions to finish off an akumatized person. After a few minutes Issei and Izuku would hear the conversation between Ladybug and Chat Noir, discussing why not to give Chloe the miraculous bee. After that Ladybug and Chat Noir would leave, but Issei and Izuku were thinking about what Marinette said. Issei. I don't understand if that Chloe is a good heroine, don't you think so, Izuku? Izuku. Yes, it's true, and she was in the battle on Heroes Day. Issei. Well, it would be better to tell this to the rest. So Issei and Izuku would go. Later. Issei and Izuku had talked with the rest about what happened in the morning, so everyone understood the situation. Rias. What we could do is talk to Marinette and tell her that she should give that girl a second chance. Momo. Rias-san is right, besides she also wants to be a great heroine and that some heroes make mistakes, but still some deserve a second chance. 02. Well, for now let's wait for Marinette to do what she said. The next day. How in the original story Layla Rossi, who is an ally of Gabriel Agreste, would tell a lie to Chloe. Meanwhile Issei and Arena together with Izuku and Najire were patrolling while Marinette was doing her daily duties. Arena. It seems that everything is fine. Izuku. Hey Issei, why do you suspect Gabriel Agreste? Issei. His negative energy gives him away, that's why I think he's Hawkmoth. That's what Drake would talk about. Drake. It's true, that's why my partner and I think Gabriel agrees is a hawk moth. Meanwhile, Marinette had already left her school and was transforming to go talk to Chloe. Meanwhile the boys continued patrolling until out of nowhere a sentimenster made of lollipops would appear impressing the boys. Najire. Oh no, lollipops cause cavities. Issei. Then let's finish that thing off. Meanwhile Adrien would be at home until he transformed into a chat noir. So Ladybug and Chat Noir would arrive with the boys starting to fight against the popsicle sentimenster. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Chloe was almost akumatized, but she resisted and managed to save herself, but Chloe's friend, Sabrina, would be akumatized, becoming a Miracular. Meanwhile Ladybug and Chat Noir would bump their fists. Ladybug Chat Noir. Ganamos. Izuku. Hey Ladybug, you have to talk to me. But that's where Miracular would appear. Chat Noir. Hey, I think you arrived a little late. The fight was a few minutes ago. Miracular. The fight was a few minutes ago, actually this is just beginning. So Miracular would jump while being in front of the boys. Miracular. You've left Chloe out many times, Ladybug. Chat Noir. I guess you didn't talk things over with her. Izuku. That's what I was going to tell you. Ladybug. I was about to do it but. Miracular. I was about to do it but absolutely ridiculous. How in the original story Miracular would steal the powers of Ladybug and Chat Noir, but before leaving Miracular would see the boys. Miracular. Come to think of it, his powers will also serve me. And that Miracular would touch Arena with his cane, but she still had her powers. Miracular. Hey, what happened? Meanwhile Hawk Moth would be impressed to see that Miracular could not steal Arena's powers. Hawk Moth. What's going on, why couldn't Miracular steal that girl's powers? Back in the park. Miracular would touch Issei, Izuku and Najire, but could not steal their powers either. Miracular. Why can't I steal her powers? Najire. That's why your body wouldn't support so many powers. So Miracular would leave. Izuku. We're calling for reinforcements. Issei. No, don't worry, together we can fight her, except for the fact that she has the powers of Ladybug and Chat Noir. Arena. Also, it seems that she can't steal divine powers or powers like hers. Then, as in the original story, the boys would be facing Miracular, having complications. Meanwhile, Chloe, already converted into Queen Bee, would go for Mayara, but she would manage to escape. Meanwhile, the boys continued fighting against Miracular until Ladybug would use her enchanted amulet, thus producing a pillow. Ladybug. A pillow. Issei. And what the hell is a pillow going to be good for? At that time everyone was trying to grab Miracular's Akuma, but they couldn't do it. Until later Ladybug would tickle Miracular and thus they would be able to obtain the Akuma and so Izuku would destroy it. Issei. Hey Izuku, that's cheating. I wanted to destroy the Akuma. Izuku. Well, you took a long time. So Ladybug would capture the Akuma and everything would return to normal. And then everyone would leave, but before the boys left they would see Chloe. Arena. Hey, you don't have to be angry, I'm sure Ladybug will give you the miraculous bee at any moment. Issei. Because as you said, you are and will continue to be Queen Bee. Najire. Also, your dream of being a great heroine will come true if you wish it. Izuku. Although in reality you already are. So the boys would leave, leaving Chloe pensive. Later at night. Issei would be looking at the stars, but then Izuku would appear sitting next to him. Izuku. It's good to see the stars, don't you believe it? Issei. Yes it is. Izuku. Hey, are you still thinking about those girls who sacrificed themselves for you? Sad Issei. I never stop thinking about them, the fact that they sacrificed themselves for me and that I couldn't do anything to save them makes me feel sad. And that Izuku would hug Issei, but Hiro would appear hugging Issei too. Hiro. Come on, my friend, you don't have to be sad, besides, you're not alone, you have your girls, and you also have us, your great friends. So Issei would smile. Issei. Haha thanks guys. So the three of them would continue to see the stars and the moon. Issei's thoughts. Issei. When the time is right I will ask Rias, Xenovia and Arena to marry me, since I can't wait to ask them to marry me. Greg. That's how you talk, mate. Out of your thoughts. Issei would continue to see the stars together with Izuku and Hiro. Chapter 7. The Party Pooper, a new miraculous bear. Previously, our protagonists faced a new akumatized woman who was capable of stealing powers, but luckily, she couldn't steal the powers of Issei, Arena, Izuku, and Najire. After a few incidents, our protagonists, along with Ladybug, Chat Noir and their companions, managed to defeat the akumatized woman. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. A few days had passed and events from the original story such as the Star Train chapter and the Desperado chapter had happened, so there were now two new miraculous holders. Current events. As in the original story, Adrian's friends gathered to spend time with him. But like in the original story, Marinette would get on the subway to go to Adrian's house, but on the same subway where Marinette was, there were Issei and Izuku together with Hiro, who had a hat to hide his horns. Issei whispering, "I see that you like that boy called Adrian too much." Izuku whispering, "If she knew the boy she likes is Chat Noir." Hiro whispering, "The roles will be reversed there." At that moment the boys would see that the subway was stopping. Issei, "Well, let's find out if my theory is true." Izuku, "Then let's follow Marinette." So the three would follow Marinette. Meanwhile with the girls you were spending time at their house where everyone lives. Rias, "Ask me where Ice-kun went." Arena, "Well, Ice-kun said he would go for a tour of the city accompanied by Izuku and Hiro-san." Xenovia, "It's true." Najire, "Hey, what if we watch a movie?" Uraraka, "That's a good idea." Momo 2. "So what are we waiting for?" So the girls would go watch a movie in the living room. Meanwhile, Marinette would be watching Adrian's house seeing how two boys from her school entered. Vicky, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Marinette, "If the boys met with Adrian, why can't I do it? I'll just say that I was walking and..." But she would be interrupted by Tiki. Tiki, "One more lie?" Marinette, "It's just a little white lie, really." On that. Issei, "Not to be rude, but you should stop looking like someone obsessed with that boy named Adrian." At that Marinette would get scared turning around seeing Issei, Izuku and Hiro. Marinette, It's just you guys doing here?" Izuku, "Well, we just saw that you were heading here and also, seriously, you look like a girl obsessed with a boy." Hiro, "But not like we've seen." Issei, "And the truth is we don't understand you." Marinette, Well, I have to go now, so bye." So Marinette would go towards the door of Adrian's house, but in that a large shock wave would make Marinette retreat, as well as Issei, Izuku and Hiro. Issei, "What the hell is going on in there?" Izuku, "I have no idea, but I almost lost my hearing." Hiro, "Me too, don't buck with me, dude." So the boys would see that Marinette would stand at the entrance of Adrian's house, but they wouldn't let her in. Minutes later. No matter what Marinette did, she couldn't get into Adrian's house. All the boys watched bored as Marinette tried to enter, but they would see that she was disguising herself as a boy. Issei, "Seriously, she does the impossible to be with that boy." Hiro, "And like I said, the roles would be reversed if she knew he was a Chat Noir." Izuku, "Well yes, but it seems that only boys can enter." And that they would see that Marinette would manage to enter in disguise. Issei, "We have to follow her to prevent her from doing stupid things." At that point, the kids would approach and then ring the doorbell, allowing the security camera to see them. Issei, "Oh hi, we're friends of Adrian and we wanted to know if we can see him." At that the security camera would return to its place and then the door would open. Issei, "It seems you were right, Izuku." Hiro, Izuku, "Hahaha, that sounded funny." Issei, "Okay, let's go in." So the boys would enter, but Issei would feel Hawkmoth's negative energy inside Adrian's house. Issei's thoughts. Issei, "It seems that my idea is not so crazy, it seems that Gabriel Agreste is a Hawkmoth." Greg, "You're right, mate. Out of your thoughts." So the boys would enter Adrian's room seeing that there were a lot of people there, but they would see Master Fu approaching him. Issei whispering, "Hello Master Fu." Teacher Fu whispered, "Oh hey guys, I'm surprised you're here." Izuku whispering, "Let's make sure Marinette doesn't do anything stupid just to be with the boy she likes." But the boys would see that Marinette was dancing so the three of them would face Pam. But like in the original story, one of Adrian's fans would be acclimatized, becoming the party pooper. So it would start to absorb everyone, but in that moment Issei, Izuku and Hiro would escape through the window. Meanwhile Marinette would transform into Ladybug just as Adrian would transform into Chat Noir. So these two would appear in front of the spoilsport who was leaving the house. Chat Noir, "Hey disco boy, you know the song." The hero arrived and the song ended. Party pooper. "Haha, how stupid, I just have to touch them and I'll get their miraculous." Thus starting a fight while Issei and Izuku and Hiro were protecting Master Fu in case of emergencies. The boys would see that Ladybug would save Chat Noir from being absorbed. Chat Noir, "I don't understand how he knew what he would do." Ladybug, "It must be his power to anticipate his opponent's movements, to defeat him we will have to surprise him." So Ladybug would activate her enchanted amulet and a cassette would come out. Ladybug, "A little house." But like in the original story Ladybug and Chat Noir and like other friends of Ladybug and Chat Noir who tried to help. Issei, "And now what is the master plan?" Izuku, "We can take care of him if you want." Master Fu, "Only one of the miraculous can fix this situation, but this one is very special." Hiro, Well, choose the bearer of that miraculous quickly. Just like in the original story, Kim would obtain the monkey miraculous, thus transforming into the Monkey King. Meanwhile Issei, Izuku and Hiro would be watching which party pooper had turned the disco spheres in his hands into a helicopter. But in that Monkey King. Listen a minute, the Monkey King likes to party. So the Monkey King would come down activating his power cold rampage and a toy banana would come out. So the Monkey King would throw the banana at the spoil sport. Party pooper. Seriously? Issei. What the hell was that good for? Izuku? Look. At that moment the boys would see that the helicopter had become a pinata. Party pooper. What's going on? Monkey King. Sorry, I love altering other people's powers, haha. Hero. What a good skill. So the Monkey King would destroy the pinata, thus releasing all those who were absorbed by the party pooper. So the rest of the people would leave and then Ladybug would put in the cassette with a tape recorder. Ladybug. The way to beat him is to distract him and make him not anticipate our movements. Issei Izuku hero. Then it's time to dance. So everyone would start dancing like fools, distracting the party pooper, so Issei would give the party pooper a strong blow, then Izuku would give a powerful smash at 10%, then Hiro would kick the party pooper, then the rest would beat the party pooper, thus managing to destroy the Akuma. Afterwards everyone would be cleaning Adrian's room and even Issei and Izuku and Hiro. Issei. This is boring. Hiro. Don't even mention it, friend. Izuku. Well, we deserve it for getting into this party. Then everyone would leave. Later. Issei, Izuku and Hiro would return home after having dinner at a restaurant, but upon entering, they would see the girl sleeping on the couch, so Hiro would grab 02 and take her to his room. Afterwards, Izuku would take his girls one by one to his room. Issei, for his part, would take his girls to his room, putting them to bed and then covering them with a sheet and then giving each of them a kiss on the forehead. Issei whispering. Rest my beloved. So Issei would lie down next to the girls and fall asleep. Chapter 8. Master Fu's Past, the Strongest Sentimenster. Previously, Issei, along with Izuku and Hiro, would end up fighting a new Akumatai's character. Now, there was another wielder of a new Miraculous. Then, our protagonists returned to their home in that world and the three of them went to sleep. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the intro. As in the original story, Alia would discover many things about the former carriers of the Miraculous, thus surprising Marinette, but also Rias and Xenovia, who were listening to the conversation between Marinette and her two friends. Just like in the original story they would show the statue, and when Natalie saw it she felt sick, but Rias and Xenovia would notice something else that no one could notice. Rias whispering. Her energy is somewhat weakened. Xenovia whispering. She is older since her energy gives her away, we have to tell the others. Later. The boys were on their way to see Master Fu to talk to him, but when they got to the door they would hear the conversation between Marinette and Master Fu and he would begin to tell his story. It should be noted that the boys were impressed upon hearing Master Fu's story. After this they would go home. Strelizia. Oh, they're back. 02. Yes, it is true. Issei. I still wonder why Master Fu didn't tell us that. Rias. Maybe he was just scared. Then, as in the original story, Mayara would awaken the Sentimenster that was inside the statue. Afterwards Hawk Moth would akumatize the Sentimenster which was now named Feast and it would become bigger. Meanwhile Issei was leaving a jewelry store since he had gotten some engagement rings, but he was accompanied by Izuku and Hiro. Hiro. I still don't understand why you wanted to propose to your Issei girls. Issei. Well, that's why I want to take this step in my relationship with them. Izuku. Well, that's understood. While they were walking they would see that Master Fu was being chased by a Sentimenster and this was a feast. Issei surprised. That thing is big. Izuku. We'll need reinforcements. Hiro. Well then let's call the rest. Meanwhile Marinette, who had a cyclist suit, and Adrian had a banana suit, were following Master Fu while doing everything possible to stop Feast. But in that several attacks would hit Feast, thus appearing Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena and also Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire, but also Hiro and 02 appearing. Issei. Hey, why are you dressed like that? Rias. And the million-dollar question is why they don't transform. Marinette. We don't have our Miraculous. Xenovia. Then this won't be so easy. So Master Fu would stand in front of the Feast and give his Miraculous to Marinette and Adrian so they could transform. So then everyone would start fighting against the Feast trying to find the Amok and the Akuma, but they couldn't find it. Issei. Where his Amok and Akuma are supposed to be. Arena. It doesn't seem like she has anything with him. And that Ladybug would use her enchanted amulet and a metal detector would come out. Ladybug. A metal detector. Uraraka. I don't think that monster has metal. So Ladybug would go with Master Fu. Ladybug. You said the amok was inside your apprentice staff, right? Master Fu. Correct. Ladybug. By chance her cane had metal. Master Fu. Technically yes. Meanwhile the boys continued fighting against Feast until he swallowed the Chat Noir staff. Chat Noir. Quick my lady, this thing has already swallowed my cane. So Ladybug would grab Chat Noir but also Issei and Rias and also Izuku and Uraraka. Chat Noir. Hey my lady, this is the perfect moment. Issei. Hey, why are you tying us up like Izuku and Uraraka-san? Ladybug. Everyone ready to go for the amok and the Akuma. Issei Chat Noir. Us and our big mouths. Thus the Feast would swallow the boys. Xenovia. Swallowed Ice-kun. Arena. It would be better to protect Master Fu, they surely have a plan. Meanwhile Issei and Rias together with Izuku and Uraraka and also Ladybug and Chat Noir would see that they were part of the feast. Issei. Wow, this place looks amazing. Izuku. It seems we found the inside of the beast. Meanwhile outside Hero and 02 would be in front of Master Fu. Hero. I'm careless, Master Fu, we'll do everything possible to protect him. 02. Don't worry. All the boys would manage to find the Akuma and the amok. Rias. It seems that this is the Master Fu's staff. Uraraka. I think we have to destroy this staff forever. Meanwhile outside Master Fu and Waze had their eyes closed, as did Hero and 02, and before Xenovia, Irina, Momo, and Nijira attacked, the Sentimonster would explode. Thus showing the boys and Ladybug and Chat Noir who had destroyed the staff. The next day. So thanks to the power of Ladybug the Temple of the Guardians had returned. Then the boys would be helping Master Fu and he would get into his truck. Master Fu. I'm not leaving until we defeat Hawk Moth. Issei. Don't worry Master Fu, we will continue to help in this battle. Izuku. Why it is the duty of heroes. So Master Fu's truck would leave. Later at night. Issei would be on the terrace of the house somewhat nervous. Izuku. Calm down, friend. Hero. You don't have to be nervous. Issei. This makes me too nervous. Greg. Okay, buddy, after everything you've been through, you're nervous. At that point, 02's voice would be heard on a walkie-talkie. Hero. What's up honey? 02. We're already taking the girls to the terrace. In that Hero and Izuku would hide and in that Uraraka and Momo and Nijira and 02 would enter, which carried Rias and Xenovia and Irina with bandages covering their eyes. Uraraka. Okay girls, you can take off your bandages now. So the girls would take off their bandages while seeing Issei and the well-decorated terrace. Rias Xenovia Irina. Woo. Momo. Well, we'll leave them alone with Issei. So the girls would leave. Issei. You can take a seat, girls. So the girls would sit on one of the armchairs. Rias. Ice-kun how did you do all this? Issei. I used magic and apart from that the girls and Izuku and Hero helped me. Xenovia. It's amazing. Irina. And why did you want to see us? Issei. Well, you'll see. At that Hero and Izuku would come out of their hiding place and start singing the next song. While Izuku and Hero were singing the song, Issei would stand in front of Rias, Xenovia, and Irina. Issei. Girls, I couldn't wait to ask you this, but now I'll tell you. So Issei would get on one knee making the girls start to cry. So Issei would show a little box and when he opened it, 3 engagement rings would be seen. Issei. Rias Gremory, Xenovia the 4th and Irina Shidu would like to be my wives and be happy with me. The girls would start to cry. Rias Xenovia Irina. Yes, 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 we want to be your wives. So Issei would put the rings on the girls and then hug his brown-haired boy while they cried. Rias Xenovia Irina. We love you so much Ice-kun. Issei. And I love you girls too. So Uraraka, Momo, Nijira, and 02 would enter. 02. This looks great. Nijira. It seems there will be a wedding soon. Momo. Yes, that's interesting. Uraraka. Well, why don't you dance while Deku-kun and Hiro-san continue singing the song, we will sing our own song. So the girls would start singing the next song. So while the 2 songs were playing Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Irina were dancing happily, everyone was having a good time and then the songs would end. Afterwards everyone would go to rest while Issei slept hugging the girls. Issei. Rest girls. Rias Xenovia Irina. You rest too Ice-kun. So the girls would fall asleep just like Issei. Chapter 9. Ria's new friend and Xenovia and Irina. Previously, our protagonists had learned a little more about Master Fu's past, in addition to facing a sentimonster called Feast, defeating it. But then Issei proposed marriage to Rias, Xenovia and Irina and they were very happy to accept, thus everyone enjoyed the night. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the new intro. New opening for this story. Odd future Latin American Spanish cover. Singer. David Delgado Lateral Square. It was Friendship Day in Paris, but Rias, Xenovia and Irina had signed up for the competition to meet a new friend, since Marinette was the only friend they had in that world. Issei. So basically you just have to wait for them to press that button and the message will be sent to you. Rias. That's right Ice-kun. Xenovia. Also it will be good to have a new friend in this world besides Marinette. Irina. Look, it looks like they're about to press the button. Just like that, out of nowhere, a message would reach Rias, Xenovia and Irina, seeing that it was the first riddle. Rias, Xenovia, Irina. With a turn of the crank can I raise the level? Izuku. That sounds difficult, don't you think, Issei? Issei. Yes, but knowing my future wives, I'm sure they'll figure it out in 3, 2 and 1. Rias, Xenovia, Irina. We already know where it can be, we'll come back later. So the girls would leave, but not before each one gave a kiss to her beloved brown-haired boy. Minutes later. Rias. It must be here. Xenovia. With a turn of the crank I can raise the level. Irina. The Sandmountain Channel. Rias. Well, it would just be a matter of waiting for our new best friend. At that point the girls would see that Marinette was there and would approach. Girls. Hello Marinette. Marinette. Oh Rias, Xenovia and Irina, it seems you are my new friends. Rias. But we already are. Xenovia. Plus we're supposed to meet a new friend. At that point Marinette would see that the girls had engagement rings. Marinette. Aren't those engagement rings? Irina. Yes, they are. Rias. What happens is that Ice-kun proposed to us. Xenovia. And that's why we'll soon be married. Marinette. I see, so congratulations. At that point Tiki would come out of Marinette's bag. Tiki. Congratulations girls. Rias. Well, we'll be there waiting for the missing person. See you. So the girls would return to where they were. But then they would see that no one else but Kagami would arrive. Rias. Look, it seems she is the other person we were waiting for. Xenovia. Okay now we just have to tell Marinette and. Xenovia wouldn't finish speaking since she would hear that Marinette was saying the same thing about the original story. While with Kagami she was watching how Marinette behaved. Kagami. How strange she is. And that Kagami would see Rias and Xenovia and Irina being a little surprised since she knew the girls, since they never used a mask to cover their secret identities. Kagami. Okay fate put them in my path and I must succeed if I fail with them as a friend, I will never achieve it. And that the girls would go to where Kagami and Marinette were, who had returned. So the girls would receive the first clue and go to the place where they had to find the next clue. But like in the original story, Marinette had the stupid idea of preventing them from winning so that Kagami wouldn't be with Adrien and so they wouldn't end up being boyfriend and girlfriend according to her, but she didn't realize that while the girls were talking to Kagami, she would hear Marinette's plan. This way they would get the first clue and then the girls would start finding the clues despite everything Marinette did to prevent the girls and Kagami from finding the clues. Right now they were sitting on a bench. Rias. And what's next now? Kagami. Trust challenge, exchange cell phones, separate and take a selfie in front of different monuments, then get together and take a selfie together like the best friends you are. When we receive the selfies, we will send you a message revealing where Adrien Agreste is hiding. Xenovia. Sounds very easy. So the girls would separate, but Rias would put a magic circle on Marinette, thus happening what happened in the original story, Marinette realizing that Kagami only wanted to be her friend, this being observed by Rias, Xenovia and Irina. Rias. It can't be that she does that just because of her stupid jealousy. Xenovia. The truth is that Ice-kun was right, it looks like she was a girl obsessed with that boy. Irina. Besides, she doesn't dare to tell him her feelings if she loves him so much. At that point the girls would run until they saw that Marinette was talking to Kagami's mother through her phone, but at that point, the girls would see that the Akuma that was going towards Kagami would leave. But the Akuma would end up in Kagami's mother, who would be transformed into Akari Gozen. So he's running very fast towards where Kagami was. Akari Gozen. Kagami. In one jump I would reach where Kagami is and the girls would see Akari Gozen. Rias. This is not good at all. Akari Gozen. You disobeyed me, you will never come out again. So Akari Gozen swallowed Kagami. Rias, Xenovia, Irina. Kagami-san. At that the girls would turn to look at Marinette angrily. Rias, Xenovia, Irina, angry. You see what your damn jealousy causes, now do something damn it and fix your idiocy. So Xenovia and Irina would take out their Excalibur swords while Rias prepared for combat, so the girls began to fight against Akari Gozen. Marinette. The girls are right, I was wrong about Kagami. Tiki. It's not too late to repent. So Marinette would transform into Ladybug. Meanwhile, at the Paris Museum, the Akuma alert would be heard, so Adrien would hide. Adrien. A new mission. Plaga. It's time to give it to him. So Adrien would transform into a chat noir and leave the museum. Meanwhile the girls along with Ladybug were facing Ikari Gozen having some difficulties. Ikari Gozen. They will never defeat me. I am Ikari Gozen. I shine like the wind, I am powerful like a flood, and I am fast like lightning. Thus the girls would be thrown and fall into a tree. Chat Noir. So making new friends on Friendship Day, no, my lady. Ladybug. I don't think he'd like us very much. Rias Xenovia Arena whispering. Come on Kagami-san. Chat Noir. Kagami. Ladybug. Our new friend locked up her own daughter as punishment. Rias Xenovia Arena. Because of an idiocy. So Ladybug would use her enchanted amulet to get a movie ticket. Ladybug. A movie ticket. Chat Noir. Are you going to invite me to the movies, my lady? Ladybug. Sorry kitty, but I only have one entry. You guys entertain our friend. Minutes later. The girls along with Chat Noir would be entertaining Ikari Gozen, but with her sword Ikari Gozen would hit Rias, Xenovia and Arena, and you would crash into a wall, and this would cause you to spit blood. Rias. Cough cough, he really has great strength. Xenovia. But we have to save Kagami-san. Arena. Where the heck is Marinette? Something would grab the girls like that seeing that Ladybug had saved them. Ladybug. The Akuma must be on her sword. Chat Noir. To use my cataclysm you first have to let your guard down. Xenovia. And what do we do then? Ladybug. You have to be as clever as the wind and as powerful as the flood. So Ladybug would use her enchanted amulet and some bath bubbles would come out. Rias. What will this be useful for? Later, as in the original story, Kagami would use the dragon Miraculous, transforming into Ryuko. Then the girls and Ladybug would be fighting against Ikari Gozen, but Rias and Xenovia and Arena were hurt since Ikari Gozen's attacks were very fast, but in the end the boys would manage to win by clashing their fists. Ladybug Chat Noir Ryuko Rias Xenovia Arena. We won. Minutes later. The girls along with Marinette were waiting for Kagami to return. Marinette. They're still mad at me. Rias. How could I not be if your stupid jealousy put Kagami-san in danger? Xenovia. It wasn't bad that you gave her a miraculous, the problem is that now Hawkmoth knows who she is. Arena. What are you saying is that keeping your identity hidden is important? You don't care if it already happened with that girl named Chloe. Marinette. I know and I'm sorry but you have no reason to be mad at me. Rias. Marinette, seriously, if you love that boy named Adrian so much, tell him what you feel once and for all, because your stupidities like what you did today can cause problems. Xenovia. We know it may be difficult for you, but it was also difficult for us to tell Ice-kun how much we love him. Arena. That's why you have to tell that guy how you feel before your stupidity causes more problems. So Marinette would feel a little sad, but then Kagami would arrive. Rias. What happened to the Kagami-san game? Kagami. Well, the game is over, we lost. Marinette. Nope, we won the chance to go for a juice if you and the girls want of course, nothing will stop us. Kagami. I was wrong about you Marinette. I'm glad this game brought us together. Now I understand why Adrian considers you his friend. Marinette. Oh, he told you that we're friends. Kagami. Yes, but I'm also glad that you girls are also my new friends. Rias Xenovia Arena. We also like having you as our new friend Kagami-san. Kagami. I'm sure you don't need help for those wounds. Rias. Nah don't worry we're fine. So the girls would start walking. Marinette. By the way, I was thinking that the blood type is similar to the zodiac signs, what sign are you? Kagami. Dragon. Marinette. It's not true, I'm a snake, they get along well. Kagami. I don't really believe in that. Marinette. Me neither, but you know I'm glad to be your friend. So the girls together with Marinette and Kagami would take a group selfie, showing that they were good friends. Author's note. Pretend that Rias, Xenovia and Arena are in the selfie, end of note. Later. It was night and the girls would arrive at the house, but they already had some of their wounds healed, but Issei would see them running towards them. Issei. Girls, what happened to you? Rias. Haha don't worry Ice-kun we just had a small problem today. Xenovia. But within all that we made a new friend. Arena. And the truth is that we like having a new friend. Issei. Well you must be hungry so come, the good thing is that I prepare something for you to eat. So the girls would be eating with Issei. Issei. So basically Marinette was jealous of that girl and her stupid jealousy caused the problem. Rias. Yes, exactly. Issei. And now Hawkmoth knows who is the person who uses the dragon Miraculous. Xenovia. Basically yes. Issei. I hope Marinette's stupidity doesn't cause problems in the future. Arena. Leaving that aside, your food tastes very good Ice-kun. Rias Xenovia. Is it true how did you learn to cook? Issei. Well, thanks to some advice from Drag and Izuku, I was talking about how to cook and that's how I learned. Rias Xenovia Arena. Well, your food is delicious, Ice-kun. After eating, Issei and the girls would go to sleep, hoping it would be another day being heroes with the others in this world. Chapter 10. A villain from the future. Izuku's new power. Previously the girls had met a new friend, but some problems arose, but the girls joined with Ladybug and Chatnoir and Ryuko ended up winning, but the girls ended up scolding Marinette for the stupid things she did, and after having returned to the house and having dinner with her beloved brown-haired girl, the girls would go to rest. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the new intro. Right now Issei joined with Izuku and Hiro, who had a hat to hide his horns, would be walking through the streets of Paris. Hiro. So Issei, you already have a date for your wedding. Issei. I haven't decided yet, but I want to marry the girls as soon as possible, since I want to be with them for the rest of my life. Izuku. So that's why we ordered your formal suit a few minutes ago. Issei. Exactly. Hiro. And you, Izuku, don't plan on proposing to your girls. Izuku. Well, I don't feel ready for that yet. Issei. Well, when the time comes it will be something happy in your life. Then the kids would pass by the Paris Museum and see that there was an akumatized Mr. Pigeon there. Issei. Really? Hiro. Seriously, Hawkmoth is running out of akumatized people. He literally akumatized that man 24 times. Izuku. We help them. Issei. Let's not let them take care of it, after all they're the ones who have been taking care of that idiot. Hiro. Izuku. Well, that's it, Hiro. Meanwhile with the girls. Najire. Well, your dresses are ready for when the day comes. Rias. Thank you so much for helping us girls. Momo. Well, that's what friends do. Uraraka. We support each other. 02. Well, what do we do now? Xenovia. Uraraka-san, if you want we can help you improve your hero suit. Uraraka. Really? Irina. Yes, we just need to look at some designs and then with a little magic we can improve your hero suit. Uraraka. Oh well, that's fine. Back with the boys. They would be walking around doing nothing until they saw that Ladybug and Chatnoir were fighting a strange villain. Issei. And who the hell is that? Izuku. That doesn't matter, we have to stop him. So Izuku would go into an alley putting on his hero suit ready to fight. Izuku. Alright guys, it's time for the heroes. So the boys would go and attack Timetagger, the villain's name, by surprise, and then enter the Paris Museum. Then, as in the original story, they would discover that inside an exhibition of the museum, there was a carrier of a Miraculous which was Bunix. Then, like in the original story, Bunix would be saying that she came from the future where Ladybug and Chatnoir are adults. Hiro. You're basically from the future where Ladybug and Chatnoir are adults. Bunix. Exactly, but there's also you Izuku and Issei and Hiro. Issei. What are you talking about? Bunix. Well, basically in the future there is the top 10 of the professional heroes, you Izuku are number 1 and symbol of peace as the hero of your world called All Might, well your girls are part of the top 10 and even Issei and his girls. Hiro. And I guess 02 and I are professional heroes. Bunix. Exactly. Izuku was surprised as was Issei. Izuku. So basically in the future we are still in this world. Bunix. Not quite, since someone built a dimensional machine so you always visit your world. Issei. Okay, everything we are processing is hard to believe, but I have seen crazier things. At that point, Bunix would come out and then Elix would give Bunix her watch, showing that it was a Miraculous. Elix. So it was a Miraculous. Ladybug. In camouflage mode. So Bunix would detransform showing that she was Elix but in the future. After that, the Elix of the future would transform back into Bunix. Then the boys would come out and the fight would be like in the original story, but in that several things that came from the past were falling from the sky. And that Izuku would activate the One for All by putting his arms in an X shape. Izuku's thoughts. Izuku. Come on, concentrate, use One for All, think of a way to stop things from falling, you can. Out of your thoughts. Out of nowhere, Izuku's fingers would come out like a kind of black whips, stopping some very large tubes, that's right, Izuku had activated a black whip. Issei Hiro, surprised. But what a fart, what a fart. So Izuku would have opened his eyes seeing what was happening. Izuku. Impressive, how am I doing this? So later Ladybug would use her enchanted amulet and a blog of notes would come out. Ladybug. A blog of notes. Hiro. I really don't know how you find a way to use those things, Ladybug. Then, like in the original story, Ladybug would create a plan and in that, Timetagger was about to grab Ladybug's earrings. Timetagger. Okay Minibug, I'll take your Miraculous first. But then one of Timetagger's legs would be grabbed by Izuku, who had activated the black whip. Timetagger. Curse me, why I always forgot about the number 1 hero. In that, Time Tagger's arms would be grabbed by a yo-yo, just like a cane would hit the akumatized object, so Chatnoir would destroy it, and the boys together with Bunnix would defeat Time Tagger by colliding their fists. Ladybug Chatnoir Bunnix Issei Izuku hero. We win. At that Bunnix was about to leave, but he would see Izuku. Bunnix. You activated one of your powers, that surprises me. Izuku confused. One of my powers. Issei. That Izuku has another power apart from his power called One for All. Bunnix. Yes, you have those black whips that you call Black Whip, apart from that you have the ability to float, and that is more incredible, but well, I have to go, see you. So Bunnix would leave. Izuku's thoughts. Izuku. If I remember correctly, All Might had told me that the previous holders of One for All had other gifts. Perhaps I awakened one of the gifts of one of the holders of One for All. Out of your thoughts. Issei. Well, let's go home now. There was too much action apart from knowing about the future. Hero. If you're right, let's go home. Izuku. Well, we deserve a break. Later. It was night and the boys were about to get home. Rias. Oh Ice-kun, you're back. Issei. Hello and sorry for being late. Xenovia. And what did they do during the day? Issei. Nothing important. Hero. We just fought an akumatized person from the future and we met a heroine from the future where Ladybug and Chatnoir are adults and we are also professional heroes in that future. Issei. Yeah, basically that. Arena. It's incredible how bad it is that we weren't there. At that moment, Momo and Najire would appear and hug their green-haired girl. Momo Najire. Glad you're back, honey. Izuku. Haha, hello girls. Rias. Alright Izuku-san, your Raka-san wants to teach you something. Izuku. And what is it? Najire. First things first. So Momo would put a blindfold on Izuku and they would take him to where your Raka was and they would remove Izuku's blindfold. All. Terran. So Izuku would see your Raka who had her hero costume but improved, looking just as beautiful. Your Raka. Hello Deku-kun, and tell me how you like my new improved costume. Izuku blushed. Hey, I'm here because you look very beautiful your Raka-chan, you look just as beautiful as always. So your Raka would blush but smile. Your Raka blushing. Thank you Deku-kun. Thus the two would give each other a tender and passionate kiss. Issei. And how the hell did they make your Raka-san's outfit look like that? 02. Well, Rias and Xenovia and Arena used magic to improve your Raka-san suit. Rias. Apart from that we added a few improvements. Issei. Well, tomorrow will be another day. So afterward, everyone would have dinner and then go to rest, in addition to learning a little more about the future. Chapter 11. A future where Chatnoir was akumatized. Previously, Issei, along with Izuku and Hiro, met a heroine from the future named Bunnix. So, she'll tell you a little about the future. After defeating the akumatized Time Tagger and Izuku discovering a new power, everything will end well. What will happen now? Find out. Hit the new intro. Right now Issei and the girls were patrolling the city of Paris, being followed by Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire. Issei. Well, it seems that everything is fine. Izuku. It seems that there are no akumatized people today. At that point the girls would see how close Adrian's house was and would see that Marinette, transformed into Ladybug, had entered the house. Rias. It's not normal for Marinette to break into the house of the boy who is Chatnoir. Uraraka. Let's watch what he does. Issei Izuku. Well then. So the boys would approach Adrian's house without being seen, seeing that Marinette seemed like a girl crazy about Adrian. Issei. Izuku. Well, there's no reason for you to be so rude. Rias. It seems like he's going to give her a gift. Xenovia. Maybe it's a good idea for her to be able to say what she feels through the gift. Arena. And then his stupidity won't cause problems. In that they would see that Marinette was smelling Adrian's pillow. Momo. It seems that Issei-san has a Marinette point, it looks like she is obsessed. Najire. Or rather crazy. At that point they would see that Marinette had already gone so they would follow her. Until they would stop because Bunnix would come out of a portal. Ladybug. Bunnix. Rias. Is she the one you told us about Ice-kun? Issei. Sip la KV in Del Futuro. Just like in the original story, Bunnix would take Ladybug to the future, but she was accompanied by Izuku and Uraraka, so the three would see that they were in a city of Paris, but all destroyed. Izuku Uraraka. What the heck happened here? At that Bunnix would open a portal to leave. Ladybug. You won't stay. Bunnix. I must be prepared to jump in time in case they fail. So Bunnix would leave. Uraraka. It's very cold. Izuku. It's true, besides looking. In that they would see that the moon was destroyed. Ladybug. Who did this? On that. The kitten on the roof alone without his lady. The three would see that it was Chat Noir sitting on the edge of the building. Ladybug. Chat Noir. At that, Chat Noir would turn around seeing Ladybug, Izuku and Uraraka. At Blanc. My lady, I thought I had lost you. Oh, I was so sad because you had left. The three would see that Chat Noir was now white. Izuku. What the hell happened to you, Chat Noir? Uraraka. And why are you white now? Ladybug. Well, that's what matters, we'll solve it. At Blanc. Of course we'll figure it out, why are you here and why are you going to give me your miraculous? So then the three would jump out of the building, escaping. At Blanc. Now you've broken more than my heart, Marinette. Ladybug. K. So Ladybug, Izuku and Uraraka would fall on a bus. Ladybug. What did you say? At Blanc. Give me a hug, Marinette. So the three would begin to escape. Ladybug. You're wrong, I'm not Marinette, it's impossible, but I never told you anything. Meanwhile in Bunnix's burrow they would be watching what was happening, so they would be watching everything that happened like in the original story, while Ladybug, Izuku, and Uraraka were facing Cat Blanc until they would be on top of the destroyed Eiffel Tower. At Blanc. There is a way to solve this, and it is by giving me your miraculous. Ladybug. Never. So Ladybug would use her enchanted amulet and an eraser would come out. Izuku. Uraraka. What good is an eraser? So then Cat Blanc would launch a cataclysm below the boys, thus falling into the water. Meanwhile in Bunnix's burrow, Issei, Rias, Xenovia, Irina, and also Momo and Najire would see that indeed, as Issei said, Gabriel agreed as Hawkmoth and that the wish he wanted to ask for was to revive his wife Emily. After that, Ladybug, Izuku and Uraraka would manage to defeat Cat Blanc and then Marinette would manage to fix everything with her power. Then the boys would be where Bunnix and Ladybug are since Bunnix had to leave. Ladybug. Hey Bunnix, when you travel do you forget what you've seen? Bunnix. What scene is seen? I know who you are, Minibug, among other things. Ladybug. Who is Hawkmoth even? Issei. Even we know who he is and we also know who Chat Noir is. Bunnix. It's true they know it, but everything in its own time, that's why you chose me, Minibug, I'm good at keeping secrets. Later. The boys would be talking about what they had seen. Issei. If what Gabriel Agreste wants is to revive his wife, there must be a way to help him. Hero. And why do you want to help him? Issei. Think about it, he had to become a Hawkmoth for that reason, and if we help him revive his wife, maybe he will stop being a Hawkmoth. Izuku. You have a point there, but how do you plan to revive his wife? Irina. I have an idea, it's good that I have this in case of emergency. So Irina would pull out a card surprising Issei, Rias and Xenovia. Issei. It's a good idea, let's turn her into an angel, and that's easy. Rias. Xenovia. You're amazing, Irina, for having that card. Uraraka. Then that card can revive that lady. Issei. That's right. Momo. Well then that's a good idea. Najire. It's a good plan. 02. Exactly. Issei. Besides, I have a plan to make Marinette and Adrian end up together and prevent their stupidities from causing problems. Hero. Impressioname. Issei. The plan is for them to know what their identities are. Rias. But Master Fu said that they shouldn't know their identities. Issei. I know that, but if they don't know their identities, Marinette's stupidities will cause more problems, and that's why I came up with this idea. So everyone would accept Issei's idea and then go to rest. Chapter 12. The Battle of the Miraculous. It was a normal day in Paris, but Issei and his girl's wedding was about to arrive. Right now the girls were walking towards the Grand Paris Hotel. Rias. It's great that Kagami invited us to this event. Xenovia. But I don't understand, it's supposed to be Chloe's parents' anniversary. Irina. Well, you have a point, but I still miss Queen Bee. Marinette should consider giving Chloe the Bee Miraculous. Rias. I don't think that will happen. Xenovia. Well, we just have to wait for Ice-kun's plan to make Marinette and Adrian together to work. Irina. So Marinette's stupidity and silly jealousy won't cause problems anymore. This would happen as in the original story, and thus Hawkmoth would akumatize Chloe's parents, turning them into the Heart Hunter, so the ones in charge of fighting the Heart Hunter would be Izuku, Uraraka, and Momo. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Ladybug would be fighting the Heart Hunter, but she would hide and use her enchanted amulet, thus producing a coin for the carousel. Ladybug. A coin for the carousel. So Ladybug would go to the carousel, but like in the original story, Ladybug was going to choose the Bee Miraculous, but because of her jealousy, she would grab the Dragon Miraculous. But when Master Fu was being attacked by Hawkmoth and Mayara, Hero arrived. Hero. You guys won't lay a finger on Master Fu while I'm here. Hawkmoth. So you must be one of Ladybug's allies. Mayara. And it seems you are alone. Hero. Don't worry, Master Fu, I'm here to help you. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Chloe would see that Ladybug had chosen Ryuko. Chloe. And what about me? You were supposed to have brought my Miraculous. This is ridiculous, totally ridiculous. They are my parents and I should save them. On that. Rias. I don't understand why he didn't choose you either. At that point Chloe would see that Rias was there. Rias. Although the truth is I think Ladybug knows that we need you, but she still has that thing about not wanting to give you the Be Miraculous. Chloe. I understand. Rias. But as you said, you will always be Queen Bee, so I will try to convince Ladybug to give you the Miraculous. I just ask you to wait, Chloe, since, as my friend Izuku said, everyone can be a hero, and that includes you. So laughs would go away. While they were fighting, Rias tried to convince Ladybug to give Chloe the Miraculous, but she didn't listen. Just like in the original story, Hawkmoth would be talking to Chloe until he would say, Hawkmoth. You are a faithful admirer of Ladybug, you have helped her and what has she given you in return? At that Chloe would have a thoughtful look. While she thought about all the words that Izuku and Najira and Arena and Rias had said to her, but she would remember that Ladybug told her that she would no longer give her the Be Miraculous and how she always helped her but received only scolding in return, so Chloe would make a decision. Chloe. Nothing mattered to her at all, it was irrelevant, totally irrelevant. So Chloe would grab the Be Miraculous, transforming into Queen Bee. Meanwhile the boys continued fighting against the Heart Hunter. Rias. Ladybug, we really need Queen Bee. Ladybug. I already said no and that's it, we can do this. Rias. Or is it that your stupid jealousy made you choose Ryuko instead of Queen Bee? Ladybug. It's not that, we can just do this. So Ladybug would activate her enchanted amulet and a roller would come out. Xenovia. What good is that roller going to do to us? But out of nowhere the Heart Hunter would be decumatized. Meanwhile Issei would arrive at the park where Hero was protecting Master Fu, but when he arrived Issei would see Hero lying unconscious on the ground. Issei. Hero listen Hero respond. At that Hero would wake up but when he moved his body would hurt a lot. Hero. Ouch ouch my whole body hurts. Issei. What happened to you or rather what happened here? Hero. Because of Marinette for not detransforming, Hawkmoth and Mayara were here and took Master Fu and also the Miraculous Box and Master Fu's Miraculous Grimoire. Issei. Come on, don't buck with me, let's go, we have to tell the others. So Issei would help Hero walk. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Hawkmoth would give an Akuma to Queen Bee, transforming her into Miracle Queen. So Hawkmoth would give Miracle Queen the box of Miraculous. Meanwhile with Issei and Hero. And that Issei and Hero would arrive home where 02, seeing Hero hurt, would quickly go to Hero. 02. Darling, what happened to you? Hero. Long story, but it is defined that because of Marinette Hawkmoth and Mayara, they took Master Fu. Issei. And they also took the Miraculous Box. Then the girls would arrive and also Izuku and Uraraka and Momo so Issei and Hero would explain to them what had happened. Rias. Damn Marinette's stupidity and her stupid jealousy caused this damn problem. Xenovia. And now what do we do Ice-kun? Issei. Simple, we'll go for Master Fu and take advantage of this, I'll try to execute the plan in the letter that Arena gave me. Izuku. I hope that plan works. Najire. Hey guys, we have problems. So everyone would turn around seeing an army of wasps. Momo. Just when we thought things couldn't get any worse. At that moment the wasps were going to sting the boys, but they would stop, confusing everyone. Issei. What happened? That's what Drake would talk about. Drake. It seems that the one who controls these things is Chloe, or Queen Bee. Rias. So that's why those wasps didn't sting us. Xenovia. Why does Chloe know that we are her friends? Issei. We still have to look for Master Fu. And that Issei would be able to feel the energy of Master Fu. Issei. I did it, I found Master Fu. Izuku. Good. Issei. 02, you and Hero stay home, I and the others will go for Master Fu. 02 Hero. Understood. So Issei, Rias, Xenovia and Arena together with Izuku, Uraraka, Momo and Najire would go to where Master Fu is. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Ladybug and Chatnoir would realize that they had Master Fu captured, but in that, Chatnoir would see that the girls were approaching where Miracle Queen was. Chatnoir. Look, my lady, it seems we're not the only ones who realized what was happening. Meanwhile with Rias and Xenovia and Arena together with Momo and Najire were near where Miracle Queen was. Rias. Chloe. So Miracle Queen would see that they were Rias and Xenovia and Arena and also Momo and Najire. Miracle Queen. It's you. Xenovia. Chloe you have to stop. Arena. You don't have to follow Hawkmoth's orders. Miracle Queen. I do it because I want Ladybug and Chatnoir to see the mistake they made by not choosing me. Rias. We understand you, but Hawkmoth is using you since for him you are his queen piece on the chessboard, but it is not like that a king would never use his pieces only as toys or people who are easily controlled, but I would never use my pieces as objects, they are my family, and that is what a true king in chess does. That it impressed Chloe, but in the water thing Ladybug Enchant War would come out, but in that Ladybug would fuse the dragon and Ladybug Miraculous, thus transforming into Dragon Bug. Thus the fight would begin and would happen as in the original story until Master Fu's shield was about to be destroyed. But in that, Issei, Hawkmoth. So Issei would fall in front of Hawkmoth, but Issei was a little hurt. Hawkmoth. Another of Ladybug's allies. Issei. You have to stop, you don't have to continue being a villain, I know that what you want is something good, and believe me, I would do the same, but even so, if you use the miraculous wish, someone will lose their life, and what if it was someone you love like your son? That would make Hawkmoth surprised. Hawkmoth. You don't know what you're talking about. Issei. What do you think your son would say if he found out who you really are, but I know how to bring that person back to life. So Issei would show the letter that Irina gave him. Issei. This card can bring that person back to life, you just have to trust me, please believe me, I never lie because a dragon never breaks his promises. At that, Hawkmoth, already tired of hearing everything, would order the Sentimonster to destroy Master Fu's shield, but at that, the Sentimonster's stinger would be stuck in Izuku's stomach, surprising everyone. Izuku. As long as I'm here I won't let anyone die, and I won't allow them to hurt Master Fu. So Izuku would launch a powerful Detroit Smash at the Sentimonster's stinger. Then Issei used a powerful dragon shoot to destroy the Sentimonster, but Izuku fell to the ground while still having one for all activated and being injured. So then Chloe was about to leave with a miraculous box, but Ladybug would stop her by taking the miraculous bee away from Chloe. But before leaving Chloe would be stopped by Rias and Xenovia and Irina. Rias, Xenovia, Irina. Chloe, sorry if we couldn't do anything to make Ladybug consider giving you the miraculous bee, but you know you can count on us even though we're not friends. So Chloe would hug the girls tightly while she started to cry and then leave. Afterwards the boys would go to see if Master Fu was okay. Ladybug. Master Fu is okay. Master Fu. Don't worry Ladybug, Issei, Izuku and Uraraka saved me, if it weren't for them I would have lost all my memories. Then everyone would leave except Rias, Xenovia and Irina who would stay to talk with Ladybug. Hours later. At that moment, Rias, Xenovia and Irina would arrive at the house. Issei. And how did it go? Rias. Well, I hope that with everything we told him, it was clear to him what he has to do. Xenovia. Yes, since we will no longer tolerate your stupidity and your damn jealousy. So afterward everyone would eat and rest since the next day would be Issei and his girl's wedding. Chapter 13. Issei and his girl's wedding. The next day. Finally it was the day of Issei and his girl's wedding, and even though only Hiro and 02 and Strelizia and Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire would be there, Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Irina were still happy. In the church. Luckily Issei, Rias and Xenovia were surprisingly unaffected by being in a church for some reason. Right now Issei was with Izuku and Hiro. Izuku. Don't get nervous Issei. Hiro. If it's true, today is your day, so don't get so nervous. Issei. Okay you're right and tell me how I look. Izuku Hiro. You look great So Issei would be at the altar, while Izuku and Hiro took their seats along with Uraraka, Momo, Najire, and also 02. At that point the following melody would be heard. At that everyone would look towards the entrance seeing Rias and Xenovia and Irina with their wedding dresses and Issei blushing at how beautiful the girls looked. So the girls would arrive at the altar next to Issei. Issei. They look very beautiful. Rias Xenovia Irina. Thank you Ice-kun. Father. Dear brothers, we are gathered here to celebrate the union between Issei Hyodo and Rias Gremory, Xenovia the fourth and Irina Shidu. So the boys seeing the four of them happy. Father. Well if there is no one who opposes this union, let him speak now or let it fall forever. So no one would talk. Father. Well, young Issei, you accept these noble young women as your wives to love and respect until death do you part. Issei. I accept. Father. Young girls accept young Issei Hyodo as their husband to love and respect him until death do them part. Rias Xenovia Irina. We accept. Father. They may as well proceed with the rings. So Izuku and Uraraka would go to the front with the rings, and Issei would grab the 3 rings that are for the girls. Issei. Rias Gremory, Xenovia the fourth, Irina Shidu, I give you these rings as a token of my love for you. So Issei would put each of the girls' respective rings, but the girls were holding back the urge to cry from happiness. So Rias, Xenovia and Irina would grab the ring that was for Issei. Rias Xenovia Irina. Issei Hyodo we give you this ring as a token of our love for you. So the girls together would put the ring on Issei. Father. Now by the power granted to me I pronounce you husband and wife, you may kiss the brides, young Issei. So Issei would kiss Rias and then Xenovia and finally Arena and then Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire together with Hero and 02 scream. Izuku Uraraka Momo Najire Hero 02. K Vivan Los Novios. So the boys would go home to celebrate and then go to rest. The next day. Issei and the girls together with Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire would go to the train station since Master Fu had to go since Hawkmoth knew that he would still be in Paris. When the boys arrived they would see that Hero and 02 were there with Marianne, who had been akumatized and turned into a reversal. Maestro Fu. Marianne. Hola Fu. So the two would give each other a big hug. Then Marinette gives a box to Master Fu. Master Fu. Goodbye Marinette and guys. Issei. Don't worry, Maestro Fu. Izuku. We will defeat Hawkmoth. Rias Xenovia Arena. Take care and have a good trip. So Master Fu and Marianne would get on the train and leave. Hero. I'm going to miss Master Fu a lot. 02. Me too. Marinette. Hey guys, me. Rias. We already told you Marinette, we will only help you in this battle and prevent more of your stupidities from causing problems. Xenovia. But as for the rest, forget about our friendship since we won't be your friends until you do what you have to do. So the boys would leave, leaving a very sad Marinette. Vicky. Don't feel bad Marinette, I'm sure they'll forgive you. Marinette. I don't think so because if I can't tell Adrian what I feel then they will never forgive me for the mistakes I made, plus they got upset because it was my fault and I didn't want to give Chloe the miraculous bee when we needed it. Vicky. You're right, but you still have to wait for them to forgive you. So Marinette would leave. Meanwhile at the house of our protagonists. Issei. Well the letter plan didn't work, but we'll try another time. Izuku. Hey, what about the plan you mentioned so Marinette and Adrian can discover their identities and be together? Issei. I'm still thinking about the plan. Rias. Well sooner or later you'll come up with a plan, love. Xenovia. Besides, your plans are very good. Issei. Haha thanks girls. Arena. Well, for now let's go eat since I'm hungry. So everyone would go to dinner and then go to rest. Meanwhile in New York City. In an alley out of nowhere a portal would appear and from there two people would come out and then the portal would disappear. Do you think this is where Izuku-kun is? I don't know but I have a feeling that Izuku-kun is here. Is that how you call Izuku? Yes, but sometimes I call him Izuku-kun like you, but I call him Izu in secret since I don't dare to tell him what I feel, but the good thing is that you became good and changed since the League of Villains was stopped. Well I switched to Izuku-kun who inspired me with his desire to be a hero. That makes me happy and also that you got into UA, but well, I just hope Izuku-kun is okay. So the light on a lamppost would turn on showing that the people who were there were none other than Toga Himiko and Mina Shido who had a worried face. Toga. You don't have to worry Ishido-san, you know how strong Izuku-kun is and I'm sure that being in this world he has known how to defend himself and since Uraraka, Momo and Najire weren't there either, I'm sure he wasn't alone. Mina. I guess you're right, but I hope the teachers don't realize that we used the machine they built to come look for Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire. Toga. Well then let's start looking for Izuku-kun so we can tell him what we feel for him. Mina. Yes, let's do it. Before starting to walk a portal would open behind Toga and Mina surprising them both. Toga. I think they did notice. Mina. I don't think so since the machine could only be used once at the moment so I don't think they can use it again. Three girls would come out of the portal and fall to the ground and then the portal would close. Mina. I think they are not like us. Toga. Are you dead? At that the three girls would get up and they were none other than Sona, Serafel and Ravel. Ravel. Next time we have to be careful when we do this spell. Sona. Well I think this is where Issei-kun should be. Serafel. I still can't believe my little sister fell in love with the same boy I love. That would make Sona blush with embarrassment. Sona blushed. BB well it's because Issei showed me that he is a good boy and someone who is always willing to protect those he loves. Serafel. Well, nobody denies that. Ravel. Serafel sama, Sona Kaichu Tanimo's compañía. At that, Sona and Serafel would see Mina and Toga, who were confused. Sona. How strange her energy is neither demonic nor divine. Serafel. Hello, my name is Serafel Citri Leviathan and this is my little sister Sona-chan and this is my friend Ravel Phoenix and it may seem crazy, but we are not from this world. Toga. Name that is noticeable you don't believe it Ishido-san. And that Toga would see that Mina was in front of Serafel and Sona and Ravel and Mina had a face that showed that she was analyzing the girls. So Mina continued inspecting the girls until she stopped. Mina. Well, you're right, you're not from this world, just like my friend and I, he. So all four of them would have a drop of an I'm-style sweat coming out. Sona. Excuse me, I would like to ask who you are. Mina. Oh well, my name is Mina Shido, and this is my friend Toga Himiko. Serafel. And if you are not from this world either, what are you doing here? Toga. Well, we are looking for a boy who is from our world called Izuku Midoriya. Ravel. Like us, we are also looking for a boy from our world named Issei Hyodo. Serafel. It seems we have the same purpose. Mina. Then let's be a team. Serafel. I like the idea, it will be easier to achieve our goals. Sona. Well then let's start our search. All? Yes. Minutes later. Now the five girls were walking in the streets of New York since there was no one on the streets, or so they thought, since in the shadows there were two silhouettes watching the girls. Sona. From the look of the city, I deduce that we are in the New York City of this world. Serafel. How beautiful, I always wanted to visit New York. Ravel. The truth is that I have never seen a city like this. Mina. I asked if there are heroes in this world like in ours. Sona. As you told us about your world a little while ago when we were in the alley, 80% of the population is born with powers or gifts as you call them. Toga. That's right. Ravel. Well, I doubt there are heroes in this world because if not, they would have already appeared in our faces. On that. We may not have powers, but we are heroes in training. That's how it is. And in front of the girls would appear no one more and no less than Sparrow and Figurante Fence. Author's note. I will be using the Latin Spanish names from the New York special of Miraculous Ladybug, end of note. Ravel. There's me in my mouth. Sparrow. Well, we just ask you to identify yourselves and say if you are villains or heroes. Furious Fence. I don't think they are villains since I feel their energies and don't detect a trace of evil. Sparrow. But we still don't know if they're lying to us or if they're fakers. On that. Stop, wait, we know those people. Exactly, so don't attack Naya. Sona. One moment. Ravel. I know those voices. Serafel. Sunda. In that, two people would appear, impressing Sona, Serafel, and Ravel, since they were none other than Kaneko and Kuroka. Kaneko. How long since I saw you girls? Kuroka. It's so good to see you again, Naya. At that, Ravel would very happily hug Kaneko and Kuroka tightly and they would reciprocate the hug. Toga. I don't understand what the hell is going on. Mina. I don't understand anything either. Furious Fence. See, I told you they are not villains. Sparrow would only have a drop of an I'm-style sweat even if it wasn't noticeable. Sparrow. I guess I was wrong. Serafel. But how is it that you two are alive if you told us that you had died? Kaneko. Long story, but for now let's go home. Minutes later. The girls were in a room waiting for Kaneko and Kuroka. Mina. So basically they are friends of yours, right? Sona. That's right, and I'm surprised they're still alive. At that moment, Kaneko and Kuroka arrived, accompanied by Sparrow and Furious Fence, but these two no longer had their outfits. Serafel Ravel. And now who are they? Kaneko. Well, she is Eon Hill, who is Vala Figurante. Kuroka. And this is Jessica Keen's Naya, who is Sparrow. Toga. Hey, but if her voice was a man's, then why is she a woman? Kaneko. Long story, but now we'll tell you how we're still alive. Mina. I'm curious to know why Sona, Serafel, and Ravel say you were dead. So everyone would take a seat. Kaneko. Well, it all started when Nissan and I were stopping Volley's attack just when Issei senpai and the girls had been absorbed by a portal that appeared behind us. Kuroka. And well, after we could no longer stop Volley's attack, we had no other option and the only thing we could do was hug each other, Naya, and then we closed our eyes waiting for our death. Kaneko. But when we opened our eyes we realized that we were no longer in our world and we met the heroes of New York as well as meeting Jess and Eon. Kuroka. Besides her Naya parents who are Majesty and Nighthawk. Kaneko. And since then we live here in New York helping heroes too. Sona Serafel Ravel. Impressive. Toga. I'm speechless. Mina. Tell me about it. Kaneko. Well, we've also been traveling all over New York in the hope of finding Issei senpai. Sona. And were they lucky? Kuroka. No, we didn't find Issei Naya somewhere in New York. Toga. I hope we have luck finding Izuku-kun. Mina. I hope so too. Jessica. I know I don't have to get involved in this, but why don't you all stay here while you continue your search? Eon. Well, it's true you would have to stay here for a while while you find the boy named Issei Hyodo and you too, Mina and Toga. Jessica. You are also welcome, you can stay until you find that boy named Izuku Midoriya. Kaneko. So what do they say? So Sona and Seraphim and Ravel and also Mina and Toga would start to think until. Sona Seraph Ravel. It's okay, we agree to stay here with you. Mina Toga. We also agreed to stay here. So after that everyone would go to rest while Sona, Serafel and Ravel, as well as Kaneko and Kuroka, thought about Issei before going to sleep, while Mina and Toga thought about Izuku. Chapter 14. New York Heroes United, Reunion. It was the day of the celebration between Paris and the United States, so Marinette's class made a video using socks as puppets. As in the original story, Marinette's class would go to New York and Marinette would propose the idea of helping Adrian's father, so he would let him go, obviously so she could be with him. Meanwhile our protagonists were getting ready to leave for New York, while only Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena, and also Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire. Issei. Well, Hero and 02 already know. Hero. If an akumatized or a monster appears we will face it and already. Issei. Basically yes. 02. Have a safe trip to New York. So the kids would take the same plane that Marinette and her class were on. During the flight the same thing would happen as in the original story. Until our protagonists would arrive in New York, arriving at the hotel. Rias, Xenovia and Arena could no longer stand the constant stupidities that Marinette did to avoid being near Adrian. Rias. I hope for a devil that your plan works out, darling. Issei. Don't worry Rias, I'm still thinking about some things we need in the plan, but for now I guess this is where we'll stay while we're in New York. Izuku. It's amazing that there are professional heroes in this city. Uraraka. You're right Deku-kun. Momo Najire. Well, we'd better go and leave our things in our room. But our protagonists were being watched constantly by Eon and Jess. Eon. I think we already found the boy that Kaneko and Kuroka are looking for, as well as Sona, Serafel and Ravel. Jessica. You're forgetting about the green-haired boy since Mina and Toga said the boy they're looking for has green hair and freckles. Eon. You're right. Jessica. Although I do think we should intervene so that Kaneko and Kuroka and also Sona and Seraph and Ravel can meet again with the Issei boy. Eon. Are you sure? Why do I think we should tell the girls that the Issei guy is here as well as the Izuku Midoriya guy? Jessica. Well, we'll tell them later. But later. Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena were using their wings to get to the rooftop as they decided to go to the rooftop party. But also Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire, but these would enter Jessica and Eon's room. Uraraka. Oh, hola. Eon. Hello, how are you? Izuku. Haha well fine. Jessica. So you guys want to go to the rooftop? Momo. Basically yes. Jessica. Use the stairs outside. Najire. Thank you very much. So Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire would go up the stairs. Meanwhile the following would happen. The boys were impressed to see that those who ate the hot dogs obtained a magical power. Issei. So his power is to make hot dogs that give you powers, it's interesting, don't you think so, Izuku? At that Issei would see that Izuku was writing something in a notebook while whispering. So Issei would get a drop of an anime-style sweat when he saw how Izuku behaved. Issei. You're my granddaughter. Uraraka. Well, Deku-kun is like that. And that the boys would see what would happen next. Issei. Well it's a good strategy for those two to be together. Eon. So you know those two are meant for each other. Rias. Basically yes. The next day. The boys would be at the museum exhibit with Marinette's entire class and the New York class. But meanwhile, as in the original story, Microchip, alias the Technoperate, would be akumatized, thus becoming a Technolator. Meanwhile, the original story would be happening in the museum until the Technolator arrived and absorbed some cannons. Meanwhile Jess and Eon were surprised to see the converted Technoperate. Jessica. And now what's the plan? Eon. There is no option, we have to face it. So Jessica and Eon would put on their hero costumes, turning into a sparrow and a furry fence. So Technolator would grab Lafayette Saber, but in that. Sparrow. Hey, I thought you liked modern technology. Furious fence. What are you planning to do with that, use it as an antenna? Technolator. I don't have time for you. Thus the battle would begin. Meanwhile in Paris the Sentimenster was destroying everything, but then Strelizia would appear. Strelizia. It seems that Mayara has not stopped yet, just like Hawk Moth. Hero. Let's finish the Sentimenster. 02. Adele. Back in New York. As in the original story, Adrian would become Chat Noir, while Marinette would transform into Ladybug. Then the boys would go to help the furtive fence. Izuku. Don't worry, we'll help them. Technolator. We'll see about that since I have someone else who will help me. In that, no one else but Kakao would fall from the roof, surprising Issei, Rias, Xenovia, and Arena. Issei. Impossible, how can he still be alive? Rias. If she had disappeared in the explosion that ended the Trihexa. Then that Kakao would see Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena but would be upset to see Issei. Kakao. Sekiryuutei. So Kakao would launch an attack and Issei would begin to fight against Kakao with the help of Rias, Xenovia and Arena. While Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire would help Ladybug enchant Noir and Sparrow and Rustling Fence. But like in the original story, the boys would follow the Technolator and also Kakao, but the boys listened to how Ladybug was making Chat Noir feel bad. Until they cornered Technolator and Kakao. Thus Chat Noir would activate his Cataclysm. While Ladybug would use her enchanted amulet to make a bicycle pump. Chat Noir. A bicycle pump, what good will that do for you? Ladybug. I have a plan, but I don't think you like it. Technolator. Why don't I take revenge by killing the children of America's most beloved heroes? So Ladybug and Chat Noir would protect Sparrow and Furious Fence. While the boys continued fighting against Kakao, but this time Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire helped by protecting Sparrow and Furtive Fence. Chat Noir. My lady didn't want to tell you because she was afraid of losing your trust. Ladybug. Well, it seems I can't trust you anymore, right? That would make Chat Noir drop his staff. Rias. Stop making your partner feel bad. Xenovia. Don't be stupid. So Technolator would grab Chat Noir and then throw him towards Ladybug, and that's it. Everyone would be surprised, but Rias, Xenovia and Arena had been scared since Chat Noir's Cataclysm ended up going through Issei's stomach, making Chat Noir scared. Chat Noir assustado. Issei. Issei. Don't worry, it wasn't your fault, don't feel guilty. So Chat Noir would fearfully pull his fist out of Issei's stomach and he would fall to the ground while blood came out. Issei. Don't worry anymore and don't blame Chat Noir for this if the one to blame is Ladybug for making you feel bad. So Issei would fall to the ground bleeding. Everyone was scared while Xenovia and Arena were crying while Rias approached Issei. Kakao. Ha 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 ha, well done Technolator, you managed to finish off the Sekiryuutei for me, and also Ladybug was too stupid to make her own partner feel bad. Technolator. You're right. Izuku. You guys are damned. Uraraka Momo Najire. They will pay dearly for what they did to our best friend. Kakao. Yes, of course. Xenovia Arena, crying. You damn Kakao will pay for Thighsy. Sparrow. This is bad. Furious Fence. How could it be otherwise if the boy is injured and dying? But in that everyone would feel a great pressure in the air. Kakao. What the hell? On that. Rias. I'm sorry. In that everyone would see that it was Rias who was unleashing her power while hugging Issei. That would make Xenovia and Arena nervous. Xenovia. Everyone hide. Arena. Rapiduo. So everyone would be covered. Technolator. Hey, you didn't tell me anything about this. Kakao. I don't know why I feel scared. In that, Rias would see the techno worker and the Kakao with a look that would scare the techno worker and the Kakao. Rias. You too. So the two would be scared while Rias prepared an attack of destruction. Rias. Sue. Thus Rias would launch her attack causing Technolator and Kakao to fly while they went through several buildings until they would fall to the ground and then be picked up by Hawk Moth. Meanwhile Rias had calmed down and then she, Xenovia and Arena began to cry while Majestia and Nighthawk arrived. Majesty. But what happened here? Nighthawk. And why is that young man hurt? Ladybug. Don't worry, I can fix it. So Ladybug would use her power and Issei's wound would be healed. Izuku. It worked, Issei's wound disappeared and healed. But that's what Drake would talk about. Drake. Yes, but the problem is that my partner is cured but is in a coma. That would make everyone surprised. Nighthawk. It seems that you are a danger, I'm going to have to ask you to give me what gives you your powers. Ladybug. But I fixed everything. Nighthawk. But the boy is still in a coma. Majesty. It is true that for now they will not use their powers. So Ladybug and Chat Noir would leave and then Rias, Xenovia and Arena would leave in a magic circle while Izuku, Uraraka and Momo and Najire returned to the hotel. Meanwhile, as in the original story, Chat Noir would resign. Adrian. I'm sorry my lady, but I can't stand the fact that I heard Issei so goodbye. So Adrian would leave. Marinette crying. I'm sorry Chat Noir. Meanwhile as in the original story Gabriel had obtained the Eagle Miraculous. Meanwhile Marinette was walking. Plaga. It's all my fault, I shouldn't have insisted that he come. Marinette. It wasn't your fault. Meanwhile the following would be happening. Meanwhile Marinette was still on the ground, but then Rias, Xenovia and Arena would appear in front of Marinette. Rias. Now you see what your stupidity causes. Xenovia. It's your fault that Chat Noir resigned and it's also your miserable fault. Arena. Ice-kun is in a coma because if he hadn't made Chat Noir feel bad, Technolator wouldn't have used Chat Noir to make Ice-kun look like that. Marinette. Girls please forgive me. So the girls would turn around. Thoughts of Rias, Xenovia and Arena. Rias Xenovia Arena. If you knew Adrian was a Chat Noir, things would be different. Out of your thoughts. Rias. You had your chance to tell Adrian how you felt and you didn't. Xenovia. And as long as you don't, we'll never forgive you for all the stupid things you've done. Irina. You will carry those mistakes on your conscience. So the girls would leave. Meanwhile, Jess and Eon had made a call so they would be telling Kaneko and the others what was happening. Kaneko. That Issei-senpai is here in New York. Mina. And also Izuku-kun is here too. Jessica. Indeed. Eon. But for the moment the Issei boy is in a coma. Kuroka. Coma. Serafel. What happened to him? Jessica. Long story, but there's also a guy with a strange spear who knows the Issei boy and the 3 girls who accompany him. Sona. The girls should obviously be Rias and Xenovia and Irina while the spear guy can be Ravel. Kakao. Toga. Hey, Izuku-kun is fine. Eon. Luckily yes, and he is accompanied by 3 girls, one with brown hair, one with black hair tied in a ponytail and a girl with blue hair. Mina. Uraraka and Momo and Najire. Jessica. Well, we have to go by since there is a situation. So Jess would cut the call. And the following would happen. Then Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire would arrive helping Sparrow and Ladybug. Ladybug. It's you guys. Izuku. This city needs more heroes. So the boys would hide in an alley and then Rias, Xenovia and Irina would arrive. Sparrow. You came too. Rias. That's right. Xenovia. Besides, we are the only ones who can take care of Kakao. Irina. Who is a great danger. Izuku. Seriously, they only gave us 5 minutes. Uraraka. It should be enough to think of a plan. Ladybug. Okay, the first thing to do is take the Miraculous Miraculous that will break the spell and free the adult heroes and they will help us decumitize him. Momo. It's a good plan. Sparrow. But how do we get close to him? There's also the guy you call Kakao. Rias. That's true. Januar. For Ladybug nothing is impossible. Najire. We agree on that, right? So Ladybug would use her enchanted amulet and a Statue of Liberty keychain would come out. Furious Fence. How we have to free the most powerful heroes with a keychain, how interesting. Ladybug. Yeah, well, we'll do it when I figure out how to use it. Xenovia. We're running out of time. Irina. Use your brain for God's sake. Ladybug. I got it, Furry Fence, could you show me the structure of the Statue of Liberty? Thus, a furtive billboard would show a hologram of the structure of the Statue of Liberty. Ladybug. Look, there are some stairs that lead to the arm where the torch is. Januar. Perfect, but how do we get in if we can't move without an army of heroes attacking us? Izuku. That's true. Ladybug. Sparrow. The goalkeeper. Uraraka. The guy from the doors. Sparrow. That's right, thanks to his power of teleportation, he could help us get in secretly. Rias. Xenovia. Irina. Good thinking. Furious Fence. But now the goalkeeper only uses his power to satisfy his curiosity and will never agree to help us. Januar. Also how to find him, he could be anywhere in the world. Ladybug. We'll use their curiosity to our advantage. Izuku. Uraraka. Momo. Najire. Dune plan. So the boys would execute the plan, so Ladybug and Januar together with Rias and Xenovia and Irina and also Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najire would reach the Statue of Liberty, so by taking the Miraculous away from Miraculous, he would become Technolator again. So the heroes would return to normal. Meanwhile with Hawk Moth. Hawk Moth. Don't say I didn't warn you. Back at the Statue of Liberty. The Kakao spear would shine. Kakao. Now they really made us angry. Technolator. Ladybug, Januar is your last chance to give me your Miraculous. Januar. Never. So the rocket would take off, but thanks to Majesty the rocket would be diverted. Now the boys were facing off against Technolator and Kakao. Izuku. They are too strong. Rias. Don't give up. Thus the heroes would arrive, thus managing to defeat the Technolator, but there was still chaos. Kakao. It's time for you to DE. But in that. Issei. Don't even think about laying a finger on them. So everyone would see in amazement that it was Issei who had launched a powerful dragon shoot at Kakao. Which would end up destroying Kakao completely. Issei. That was close. On that. Rias. Xenovia. Irina. Ice-kun. You're back. Thus Issei would be embraced by his 3 wives. Issei. Sorry, but it took a lot to get out of the coma. Izuku. Good thing you're back, Issei. Issei. Well yes, and I'm glad it's all over. So the police would take the Technoperate away, well as in the original story, Ladybug would let Jess keep the Eagle Miraculous, and then Nighthawk would reveal that she was a woman, surprising the boys. Issei. Kwee. Izuku. All this time Nighthawk was a woman. Momo. Of course, Izuku-kun, it's obvious if you think about it. Rias. How could we not have noticed? Issei. Well then we win. So Ladybug and Chatnoir and Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena and also Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najira and also Eagle and Fergur and Fence would clash their fists. Ladybug Chatnoir Issei Rias Xenovia Arena Izuku Uraraka Momo Najira Gila Vala, Fergurante. Ganamos J. Then the boys were about to leave, but that's it. Eagle. Hey Issei and Izuku. Issei. Is something happening? Furious Fence. What happens is that we want you and the girls to see us in this direction later. So the furtive Fence would give them a piece of paper with an address. Issei. Okay, but before we leave I would like to ask you to save the identity data of Ladybug and Chatnoir since we also know their identities. Furious Fence. Good is fine. Izuku. But just make Ladybug believe that you deleted that data. So the boys would leave. Later. The following would happen. Later at midnight. Issei and Rias and Xenovia and Arena together with Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najira would arrive at the address of the paper meeting Jess and Eon. Issei. And well, what did they need us for? Jessica. Well let's say we have something to show you, but first, put on the music. Eon. I understand. This is how the next song would begin to be heard. Rias. What's the song for? Eon. Look for yourselves. At that moment, he would hear some voices that Issei would recognize. Kaneko Kuroka. Issei Senpai Naya. At that Issei would turn around while his face filled with tears since there were Kaneko and Kuroka in addition to being accompanied by Sona and Serafel and Ravel. Rias. It's you girls. Xenovia. It's amazing Kaneko and Kuroka never died. Arena. That's true. Issei Lorando. Kaneko-chan, Kuroka-chan. So Issei would hug the two Nekomatas tightly and they would reciprocate the hug of their beloved brown-haired girl. Issei crying. Forgive me, if I had been stronger you wouldn't have had to put your lives in danger. Kaneko. We don't have to forgive you, senpai. Kuroka. Exactly, since we will always do our best to be with you by your side for the rest of our lives. Rias. I see you found a way to know we were alive. Sona. Well I know that Issei is not someone who dies easily, that's why I had a feeling that you hadn't died. On that. Mina Toga. Izuku-kun. And that Izuku would be hugged by Mina and Toga surprising him, Uraraka, Momo and Najira. Izuku. Mina-chan and Toga-chan, but how is it that you? Uraraka. They're here. Mina. Long story. Minutes after a long explanation and conversation. Kaneko. Well it will be great to go to Paris. Jessica. Take care of yourselves, cat sisters, I'm going to miss you. Kuroka. Us too Naya. Rias. Jessica and Eon thank you for taking care of Kaneko and Kuroka and also Sona and Serafel and Ravel and when we need you, we will contact you with this magic circle. So Rias would give them a leaflet with a magic circle. Issei. Well, see you. So with a magic circle everyone would leave. And that's how the New York special ends. Chapter 15. The Legend of Lady Dragon, Hawkmoth defeated, Adrinet at last. Some time had passed after what happened in New York and now our protagonists were back in Paris, but apart from Kaneko and Kuroka and also Sona and Serafel and Ravel had gone to Paris to be with Issei and Sona and Serafel and Ravel were able to tell Issei what they felt for him, so he accepted their feelings since he felt the same. Mina and Toga had also decided to stay in Paris since Izuku was there and they were able to tell Izuku what they felt for him, so Izuku would reciprocate their feelings. Current events. The team had made a trip to Shanghai, well, only Issei, Rias, Xenovia, Irina, and also Izuku, Uraraka, Momo, and Najira, and finally Hero, 02, and why our heroes are going to Shanghai. It turns out that our heroes were following Marinette since after what happened in New York and the other problems she caused, the boys decided to keep an eye on Marinette. Rias. We are about to arrive in Shanghai. Xenovia. Let's hope Marinette doesn't do any more stupid things. Issei. That can't be proven 100%. Later. Our heroes would arrive at the hotel where they would stay, while Issei and Izuku and Hero and 02 had gone out for a walk. But while they were walking, what was happening in the original story would be happening. Where Marinette and Faye were escaping from some thugs until later, Marinette would find out what Faye did but would go to transform into Ladybug since now there was a new akumatized one. Meanwhile Issei and Izuku and Hero and 02 would arrive at a destroyed temple. Issei. This is where Marinette and that girl are. Izuku. And what are we waiting for? Let's go. So the boys would enter the temple. Meanwhile. That's when Issei, Izuku, Hero, and 02 would arrive. Issei. Hey girl, you have to put that thing on if you want to help. Faye. Okay. So Faye would become the prodigious, turning into a lady dragon. Izuku. Incredible she became a heron. 02. Then use your powers to help us. Meanwhile Faye was talking to the Quemis that represent each of his powers. Issei. And who are you talking to, girl? Lady Dragon. With some kind of little creatures that only I can see. Issei. Drake, can you see what he's seeing? Drake. Yes, and he's right, they are a lot of Quamus. So the boys would be facing Hawkmoth and King Cash, the name of the akumatized one. Hero. The fan guy is too strong. 02. If we're not careful, it'll turn us into gold. And that King Cash would go to attack Faye, but in that. Author's note. Watch the video from the beginning to 237, end of note. The boys were surprised to see that Hawkmoth akumatized Menshi. 02 Hero. No me Jodas. Issei Izuku. It's already gone to hell. Thus Menshi would become bigger, becoming Yanluashi. The boys would go to stop him, but first Issei would stop Izuku. Izuku? And now what happens, Issei? Issei. When Ladybug returns everything to normal, I need you to grab Hawkmoth with your black whips so we can take away his miraculous. Izuku. Good idea, and then the plan of the letter comes in. Issei. Exactly. Izuku. Fine, I'll do it. Issei. Then I'm going there, you see, friend. So Issei would leave. Then, like in the original story, the boys would start fighting Yanluashi, so Faye would become an eagle. So Faye would attack, but it wouldn't work, so he would turn into a tiger. But it wouldn't work either, so Faye would start escaping from Yanluashi's attacks by turning into a horse. So Faye would hide, watching the destruction that Yanluashi had caused. Issei. Well, I didn't understand a damn thing, but even so, we better hurry since I don't think Hero and 02 can train Yanluashi. So Ladybug and Lady Dragon would see that Strelizia was facing Yanluashi. So Lady Dragon would become a dragon again. Meanwhile, Strelizia could no longer fight Yanluashi. Yanluashi. It's useless for you to try to beat me, since no one can compete against someone as powerful as me. Strelizia. Curse is too strong, what should I do? Hero. We have to resist until Ladybug comes up with a plan. In that, Lady Dragon, transformed into a dragon, would appear accompanied by Issei, who had activated his balance breaker. Lady Dragon. Yanluashi. Yanluashi. You will finally give me back what is mine. Lady Dragon. Yes, but first you should drink some water to cool off. So using the water, the vase where Ladybug was inside would enter Yanluashi, so Ladybug with her yo-yo would destroy the akumatized object, thus leaving the vase after being spat out by Yanluashi. Ladybug. Voila. So Ladybug would capture the Akuma and Menshi would return to normal. Menshi. What happened? Asi Menshi Viria Fei. Menshi. You were able to conquer the power of the dragon. Lady Dragon. With a little help. So Ladybug and Lady Dragon and Issei and Hero and 02 would bump their fists. Ladybug, Lady Dragon, Issei, Hero 02. Ganamos. So Menshi would see the destruction that had taken place. Menshi. I was responsible for all this terrible wrong against humanity. Issei. Yes, you may have done all this, but don't worry, Ladybug can return this to normal. Ladybug. That's right. So everything would return to normal. Meanwhile, in the destroyed temple. Hawkmoth had returned, and seeing that Izuku, who was hiding, quickly activated his black whips, trapping Hawkmoth. Izuku. I finally caught you. Back with the boys. Menshi. You focused on the common good and let go of revenge. You now possess all of humanity's great virtues. The prodigious will be in good hands with you, Renren. Thus Menshi would disappear. Minutes later. The boys would be in the place where they tied up the guy who was King Cash. So Faye was going to hit the guy, but he wouldn't. Issei. As they say, revenge is never good, it kills the soul and poisons it. So Faye would turn into a lady dragon again and then take her father's bracelet and put it on her, and from the bracelet, Menshi would emerge, transformed into a Kwami. Menshi. It's about time, I was wondering when you'd wear it again. Everyone surprised. Menshi. Menshi. They thought that was the end of my mission, but it was just the beginning. Greg. Ha 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 ha, I like this guy. Issei. Don't make it up. Hero 02. We like him too. Lady Dragon. Ladybug, Chatnoir, and you two are here. Issei. I am Issei Hyodo, and these two are Hero and 02 and Strelizia, who is the briefcase. Lady Dragon. Thank you too, and also to you Ladybug and Chatnoir, thank you for your help. Chatnoir. Well, now we just need to find Marinette. Nervous Ladybug. Oh yeah, right, we have to find Marinette. Lady Dragon. Don't worry, I found her and got her to safety during the battle. So then Lady Dragon, transformed into Eagle, would take the guy with her, and Menshi would accompany her. And that Issei would be talking to someone on his phone, and it was Izuku who would tell him that he already has Hawkmoth. Issei. Ladybug and Chatnoir, before leaving I want you to meet us at this address. So Issei would give Ladybug and Chatnoir an address, and then he, Hero, and 02 would leave. Later. Ladybug and Chatnoir would arrive at the address he gave them, seeing that Issei, Rias, Xenovia and Erina were there, as well as Izuku, Uraraka, Momo and Ajire, and also Hero and 02. Ladybug. Well, why did they want us here? Issei. So you can see this is how Izuku proceeds. So Izuku would move his hands, so his black whips would appear, showing Hawkmoth surprising Ladybug and Chatnoir. Chatnoir. Incredible they were able to catch him. Issei. Well Hawkmoth, it's time to take off your Miraculous, but first I want to propose that you accept my treat, please. Hawkmoth. How do I know you're not lying to me? Issei. I already told you I'm a dragon, and I never break my promises, so sorry for what I'm going to do. Thus Issei would take the Miraculous from Hawkmoth, revealing that Hawkmoth was none other than Ladybug. Chatnoir surprised. Gabriel agreed. That's how it is now. Ladybug and Chatnoir know that Hawkmoth is Gabriel agreed. Gabriel. Well, you've already taken the Miraculous from me now. Issei. Well, I already told you, you just have to accept my deal, and you also have to talk to your son, so Hero and 02 proceed. So Hero and 02 would quickly take away Chatnoir's ring, and Gabriel would be surprised to see that Chatnoir was his son. Adrian agreed. Gabriel surprised. Adrian. Ladybug was surprised to see what the boys did, but was surprised to see that Chatnoir was Adrian, the boy she loved so much. Issei. Well, I'll stay with the Miraculous while you and your son talk, and also tell him what your motive is for what you did. So Issei and the others would leave Adrian and his father alone to talk. Hours later. Adrian and his father had finished talking and the boys had returned. Issei. So everything okay? Adrian. If everything is okay. Gabriel. Then you promise me that letter can bring her back to life. Issei. I promise. One day before executing the plan. Issei and the girls had placed Ladybug and Chatnoir in the Eiffel Tower. Issei. Well, it's time for the plan for Marinette and Adrian to be together. Rias. Well, I just hope that now Marinette can tell Adrian how she feels about him. So the boys would see that Ladybug and Chatnoir had arrived. Chatnoir. Hey my lady, do you know why Issei and the girls told us to meet here? Ladybug. I don't know, but me and me. Chatnoir. Hey, why are you nervous, my lady? Ladybug. Well, now that I know your identity, it's my turn to tell you mine, but I also want to tell you that you. So Ladybug would get nervous and blush. Ladybug blushed. You are the boy I love. That'd surprise Chatnoir. Chatnoir. Seriously? Ladybug. I want to tell you who I am, but I want you to detransform at the same time as me. Chatnoir. Okay. So they would both run at the same time. Ladybug. Specs out. Chatnoir. Claws out. Thus the two would give each other a tender and passionate kiss while they detransformed. So Rias, Xenovia and Erina had become happy as well as Issei. Thus the two would finish detransforming while continuing to kiss. When he opened his eyes, Adrian was impressed to see that the one who was Ladybug was none other than Marinette. Adrian surprised. Marinette. Marinette blushed. Hey yeah, sorry if I could never tell you what I felt, is that I was afraid that you would reject me since I thought you would never be with someone like me. And again Adrian would kiss Marinette and she would kiss him back. Adrian. This is enough to tell you that I love you and I'm sorry for not having realized how you felt about me, but now we can both be together. Marinette. You make me very happy. So the two would hug each other tightly. Issei. Marinette did it, she did it. Rias, Xenovia, Erina. Well done Marinette, that's how it's done. The next day. Now the boys were at Adrian's house, but Gabriel would take them to where he has Emily. Issei. Well, Erina proceeds. So Erina would put the letter in Emily's heart. Erina. Emily agrees. Erina should, using this card, give you back your life so that you can be a beautiful angel and be together with your family again. So a glow would blind everyone, and when they opened their eyes, they saw that Emily was with her eyes open while she was holding her head. Emily. Ouch, my head, what happened? The only thing I remember is that Emily would quickly be hugged by her son Adrian and by Gabriel, so she would reciprocate the hug, revealing a beautiful family scene. So Issei and his girls and also Izuku and his girls and also Hero and 02 would bump their fists. Everyone. We win J. Meanwhile in the world of Boku no Hero Academia. In one room was the dimensional machine that Mina and Toga used. And there was Mei Hatsume fixing the dimensional machine since she had supported building the machine and she was fixing the machine. Mei. Very good, I almost got it working. There were also Lita and Bakugo and Kirishima and Kaminari and also Todoroki, plus there was little Eri, and there were also the brothers Katsuma and Mahoro Shimano, and there was also little Kota Izumi. Lita. I hope it works. Bakugo. Shut up, I'm sure this thing will work. If the blonde and the alien could use the machine, we can too. Todoroki. I hope so, since we have to find Midoriya. Hiroshima. It's very true, but don't worry, guys, everything will be fine. Haminari. That's very true, I can't wait to see that world. Eri. I hope he is well because I miss him. Pitsuma. Don't worry Eri-chan, I'm sure Deku will be fine. Mahoro. If you just think about it, he saved us and he always does it with a smile. Koda. That's what characterizes Izuku, right Mr. Bakugo? Bakugo. Obviously, that's what characterizes the idiot Deku. Hiroshima. Hey Bakugo, you shouldn't talk like that, they're children, you could be a bad influence. Bakugo. Really? You like it? Hiroshima. And crushes me. May. I did it, I was able to get it working again. So everyone would see that May would turn on the dimensional machine, thus opening the portal. Bakugo. I told you so. Lita. Well, it's time to go to that world. May. Well say hello to Midoriya and the girls for me. Haminari. It's okay. But in that. Eri Koda Kitsuma Mahoro. Deku. So the children would enter the portal, scaring the boys. Bakugo. Shit. Lita. Don't make things up. Hiroshima. It can't be, we have to go get the kids. Haminari. We have to go, but quickly. May. Then don't act like idiots, go. Todoroki. She's right, let's not stand still, let's go for the children. So Bakugo and Lita and Todoroki and Kirishima and Kaminari would enter the portal, so this closing. But suddenly the portal would open again. May. What the hell? On that. Jiru. I'm sorry but I have to go inside. So May would see that it was Jiru who would enter the portal, surprising May. May. Oh no. Inside the portal. Jiru was traveling through the portal while thinking about Kaminari. Author's note. Something I haven't mentioned is that I'm a fan of the ship between Jiru and Kaminari, now you know that, end of note. Jiru's thoughts. Jiru. I know that finding Midoriya is necessary, but I no longer want to be a coward, since Midoriya and the girls disappeared, Kaminari decided to change his perverted attitude to be a better hero, and that made him captivate my heart, but I didn't dare to tell him my feelings, but now I no longer intend to be a coward, and I will tell Kaminari that I love him. Out of your thoughts. So Jiru would continue traveling through the portal. Meanwhile in the world of High School DxD. In an abandoned house, Vali would be seen together with Akeno, Asia, and Rossweisse. Vali. Well the portal is ready. Akeno. It means we can go and finish Issei once and for all. Vali. That's how it is with us, that should be enough to finish off that idiot. Asia. And what are we waiting for? Let's go now. So Akeno, Asia and Rossweisse would enter the portal. Vali. Damn Red, I'll come for you and eliminate you once and for all. So Vali would enter the portal even if it was closing. Chapter 16 and finale. Heroes forever and ever. Some time had passed after Hawkmoth had been defeated and many things had happened in that time. For example, Marinette and Adrian's relationship was very good, everyone at school liked seeing them together, and Marinette had to reveal her identity to Chloe, so she is surprised, but she would accept Marinette's apologies. Over time Izuku proposed to his girls and so you accepted, and so Izuku and Uraraka and Momo and Najira and Mina and Toga got married. Also over time Issei proposed marriage to Sona and Serafel and Ravel, and they accepted, thus becoming Issei's wives. But still a threat was approaching. In an abandoned place you would see Vali and Akeno and Asia and Rossweisse together with other people who were none other than Nine and his group Slice, Chimera and Mummy. Vali. Well, everything is ready. I was able to find out where the damn red one is. 9. And you think that boy is with him? Vali. I think so. Slice. We just have to kill those guys and that's it. Chimera. I don't think it's that simple, but we still have to do it to fulfill our dream. Mummy. That's true. Akeno. Well we just need more allies and we already have 2. And that the lights would show Lila Rossi and Felix, Adrian's cousin, who had the butterfly and peacock Miraculous. Asia. It was easy to get these 2 those jewels so they can have their powers. Lila. Now with this Miraculous I can get revenge on Marinette for taking Adrian away from me. Felix. I just want to show what I'm capable of. Vali. So we're going to Paris. While they were talking Albion was worried. Thoughts from Albion. Albion. I hope Dragon the boy can defeat these once and for all, and I need to find another wielder worthy of my power. Out of your thoughts. Meanwhile in the city of Paris. In the streets of Paris were Eri and Kitsuma and Mahoro and Koda walking because they were lost. Eri. I'm scared. Koda. I think we should have thought before entering the portal. Mahoro. Don't worry, I'm sure we'll find Bakugo and the boys. Kitsuma. I hope so, sister. But then the children would collide with a person and it was none other than Izuku who was surprised to see the children. Izuku. Eri-chan, Kitsuma, Mahoro and Koda. Eri Kitsuma Mahoro Koda. Deku. So the children would hug Izuku tightly. Izuku? But how come you are here? Koda. Long story. Meanwhile, at the river where there is a bridge with many river locks, Bakugo, Todoroki, Kirishima, Kaminari, and Lita would come out. Bakugo. Cough cough cough, for a moment I thought I would die. Kirishima. It seems that we are in the world where Midoriya is. Todoroki. We still don't know if Midoriya is in this world. And that Kaminari would see something under the river and he would dive in, seeing that Jiro was there, who was unconscious, so Kaminari would go back up with Jiro on his shoulders. Lita. What the hell is Jiro doing here? Kaminari. I have no idea, but he's unconscious, so let's go to the shore. So the boys would come out of the river and from a distance Izuku would see them and quickly he and the boys would approach. Izuku. Kakin, what are you doing here, or rather how did you come to this world? Bakugo. Easy Deku, we use the dimensional machine that the blonde and the alien used. Lita. It's good to see you, Midoriya. Izuku. I'm glad to see you all too. Kaminari. If you'll excuse me, I'll try to get Jiro to wake up. Kirishima. How will you do it? Kaminari. This may sound crazy, but I'll use mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Todoroki. I don't think that's a good idea. So Kaminari, a little nervous, would give Jiro mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Little by little, she would open her eyes, seeing Kaminari kissing her. She would blush, but she would put her arms around Kaminari's neck, thus reciprocating the kiss, surprising everyone. Minutes later. While Izuku was talking with Bakugo and Todoroki and Kirishima and Lita, Kaminari would be talking with Jiro. Kaminari. So you love me? Jiro. Of course, since seeing how you changed captivated my heart, that's why now in front of you I tell you that I love you, Kaminari. Kaminari. I love you too, Jiro, but first you would like to be my girlfriend. Jiro. Yes, 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 I want to be your girlfriend. Thus the two would give each other a tender and passionate kiss. But in that, the sound of an explosion would alert everyone going to the scene of the explosion. Meanwhile Issei and the girls would arrive at the site of the explosion. Rias. While Sona, Serafel, Ravel, Kaneko, and Kuroka are in charge of evacuating the Parisians, we have to take care of this. Xenovia. While Ladybug and Chatnoir arrive. But in that. Bali. Until I finally found you, Red. So Issei and the girls would see that it was Bali who would launch an attack, starting to fight against Issei. Issei. Damn, how the hell is that you realized I was alive? Bali. I'm not so stupid as to not realize it. Meanwhile Rias, Xenovia and Irina were facing Akeno, Asia and Rossweisse. Akeno. This time we'll finish you three off once and for all. Rias. That's what you think. Meanwhile, Ladybug and Chatnoir would be facing Lila and Felix. Ladybug. I don't understand how they were able to grab the butterfly and peacock miraculous, but we still have to stop them. Lila. That's what you think, Ladybug. Felix. You won't be able to beat us because we are stronger. Chatnoir. We'll see about that. Meanwhile Izuku and Bakugo were facing Nine, while Todoroki and Kirishima and Kaminari and Lita and also Jiro were facing Chimera and Mummy. Izuku. It seems that he is just as strong as before. Bakugo. And he continues with that of wanting the gift of cellular regeneration. So the boys continued fighting, but the boys would be defeated, but Kirishima and Kaminari were able to finish off Mummy, but even so, but thanks to a distraction from Najira and Mina, Uraraka and Momo and Toga would take the children away, and they would also take the others. Rias, Xenovia and Irina had also been able to finish off Asia, but Akeno and Rossweisse would manage to escape, just like Vali. Meanwhile, Ladybug and Chatnoir had been able to finish off Felix, but Lila would escape in time. Later. Thanks to Ladybug's enchanted amulet, everything that had been destroyed had returned to normal, but even so, the boys were now evacuating all the Parisians. Afterwards, the boys would recover from their injuries thanks to Katsuma's gift of cellular regeneration, and then the boys would talk about the situation. Lita. Well, there were no injuries so far, but everything was still destroyed. Hero. But still everything was fixed by Ladybug. Kirishima. That doesn't mean things didn't go well. Issei. We were only able to finish off 3, but not everything went well. There is still the guy called Nine, the wolf type, and the girls, and there is also the girl with the lethal hair. Xenovia. Not only that, Vali is missing and also Lila who has the butterfly miraculous. Ladybug. That's the problem with everything, it wasn't enough for us to beat them. Chatnoir. Even if we attack together, we wouldn't be able to do anything against them. Momo. A while ago I created a drone that would go to New York, but it will take too long to reach the professional heroes of New York. Bakugo. Well, I don't think those heroes can help us, but we'll still need to take those guys down on our own. Jiro. We would need more help than usual. So the boys would start thinking until. Ladybug. That's it, we need more miraculous carriers, and I already have the right ones. Izuku. Then with the help of the other carriers. Issei. We will be able to prevent Type 9 from trying to take Kitsuma's quirk. Bakugo. So now that we have that advantage, it's time to crush those bastards. Lita. Then we must go further. All. Plus Ultra. Later the boys would be planning the plan. Izuku. Okay, listen to me. We know the abilities of each enemy we face, so our strategy is to divide them all, so we will use the center where the city of Paris is located. Todoroki. I guess the strategy to stop 9 is the same one we used before, right? Izuku. That's right, we must wear him down so that he can no longer use his gifts. Ladybug. I brought the reinforcements. So there would be Rena Rouge and Shell and Queen Bee and King Monkey and also Eagle and Furious Fence, and there was also Lady Dragon. Issei. They will be enough to execute the plan. Later it was almost dawn, so everyone would be divided into different parts of the city of Paris, which had been evacuated and taken to a shelter. Meanwhile at the shelter, there were Sona and Serafel and Ravel joined with Mina and Toga and also Kaneko and Kuroka, but the girls were worried, but they knew that the boys would be fine. Hero. Hey, you don't have to worry, they'll be fine. 02. If it's true you have to trust them. Meanwhile with the villains. Slice. 9. Akeno. Volley-kun. Ollie. They found those idiots. Slice. The boy with a gift of cell regeneration is near where the Eiffel Tower is located. The heroes are there too. Lila. Is there more? Akeno. That's right, but we still gain power. Chimera. Well then we'll go for them. 9. We will go for them and thus we will fulfill our dream. Minutes later. The sun had already risen and in that moment Xenovia, using binoculars, would see everyone. Xenovia. They are advancing along the agreed route. Irikoda. I hope the plan works. Izuku's thoughts. Izuku. I leave it in your hands Momo-chan and Najire-chan. Out of your thoughts. Meanwhile Momo was seeing that the villains were getting closer. Momo. Najire, it's time to use your energy waves to the fullest. Thus Najire would begin to concentrate her vital energy to launch her energy waves. Momo. In 3, 2 and 1. So Najire would come out of hiding. Najire. Shock waves. Thus Najire would launch her energy waves, increasing her power even more. Najire. Plus Ultra. So the energy waves would make Chimera, Slice, Volley, Akeno, Rasuius, and Lila separate from 9. Momo. They separated. So Momo would use 2 cannons firing missiles making Slice and Akeno and Rasuius fall to the ground while Lila escaped and Chimera was sent flying while Volley was also sent flying. Haminari. It worked, they separated. Jiru. We are taking them to the established points. Uraraka. The plan is working. Xenovia. I'll go quickly to my respective place, you take care of the rest. So Xenovia would leave. Meanwhile down on the subway. Slice and Akeno and Rasuius would free themselves from the rubble. Slice. Those kids separated us. Akeno. I still doubt that would help. That laser beams would hit all 3. So coming out Furious Fence together with Xenovia and Arena and Eagle. Rasuius. It's you. Eagle. You're not going anywhere until we're done with you. Furious Fence. Statistically you guys don't stand a chance against us. Akeno. That's what you think, stupid. Xenovia. Now they'll know what happens when they mess with us. Arena. In the name of God I will punish them for their sins. So the girls would prepare to fight against Slice, Akeno and Rasuius. Meanwhile. Lila had arrived at the San Mountain Canal. Lila. They won't be able to find me here. And that Lila would be hit by a yo-yo and Ladybug would appear accompanied by Queen Bee and Rena Rouge and Lady Dragon turned into a bear. Ladybug. Once we're done with you, the butterfly Miraculous will return to where it belongs. Queen Bee. You're finished against the 4 of us, it's impossible for you to beat us. Rena Rouge. That's right. Lady Dragon. We'll show you teamwork. Lila. Try it, bitches, you won't beat me. So the girls would get into a combat pose. Meanwhile where Chimera fell, it would be frozen by Todoroki, but it wouldn't work. Chimera. It seems you were lacking in cold weather. Todoroki. We meet again. This is how Lita and Kirishima and Chatnoir and Monkey King and Carapace would appear. Chatnoir. Wow, that's huge. Shell. Don't worry, I'll cover you. Monkey King. Well, that's enough for us. Chimera. They shouldn't be too confident. So Chimera would smoke a cigarette. Serious Chimera. I won't forgive them today. Kirishima. We won't either. Lita. People depend on us, we will fight to protect them. Todoroki. We'll finish you off. Chatnoir Shell Monkey King. No matter what I went through. Thus Lita would activate its engines. Lita. Fast explosion. In 10 minutes it'll all be over. So the boys would get into combat stance ready to fight. Meanwhile where Volley had fallen he was facing Issei and Rias, but these two were having a hard time. Rias. Curse is too strong. Volley. Dee. So Volley would launch an attack towards Rias, but Issei would save her. Issei. Rias love don't lose hope. Rias. My love. So Issei would smile even though he was hurt. Volley. No matter how hard you try Red I will be the one to finish you off and this time forever ha 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 ha. Issei. You're wrong about that, Volley. At that, Rias and Issei would begin to increase their power while holding hands, surprising Volley. Volley. What the hell, how can you be increasing your power? It's impossible. Issei. This is our power Volley. Rias. And you will never be able to surpass us because we. Issei Rias. We are one. So Issei would activate his balance breaker and Rias would do it too, impressing Volley and scaring him. Volley. No, it can't be. Issei Rias. Now dee. So Issei and Rias with a combined attack would finish off Volley, creating a huge explosion, so Issei and Rias would fall to the ground while their armor disappeared. At that moment, a blue sphere would enter the river, surprising her. Issei. I guess Albion chose you as their new wielder. Rias. Well it seems that now I am the new bearer of the White Emperor Dragon. So little by little Issei and Rias were losing consciousness. Issei. We fulfilled our part of the plan now it's up to them. Rias. You're Raka-san. Issei. Izuku. So Issei and Rias would be unconscious. Meanwhile at the Eiffel Tower Izuku and Uraraka and the children along with Jiro and Kaminari would see the explosion from afar. Mahoro. Perhaps Issei and Miss Rias were able to defeat the guy in white. Kaminari. Hahaha it seems they succeeded. Jiro. Guys look. In that dust, 9 would walk out. Izuku. I should have known that wouldn't be enough to finish it. In that, Nijire would appear floating while leaving Momo in the Eiffel Tower. Nijire. Here I am, Izuku-kun, I will help with the strength I have left. Thus Nijire would launch her energy waves, while 9 blocked them with his air shields. Izuku. Uraraka-chan your turn. Uraraka. Release. Thus several stones and cars would fall from the sky, but 9 would launch his lightning bolts from his fingers. Thus little by little destroying everything that fell. Nijire. It doesn't stop. Meanwhile in the fight between Xenovia and Arena and the Eagle and the Furious Fence. They continued fighting against Slice, Akeno and Rossweisse, but the girls were very injured and still had strength, but they continued fighting. Akeno. It's over. Rossweisse. You will all die. Slice. Now. So the three would launch their attacks like Xenovia and Arena and Eagle and Furious Fence dodging, but it was costing them. Xenovia. It's time for you damn girls to die. So Xenovia and Arena would launch a combined attack, thus hurting Slice, Akeno and Rossweisse. Arena. Fence for Gironte now. So the Furious Fence would launch a large beam of energy, hitting Slice, Akeno and Rossweisse. Slice Akeno Rossweisse. No. So all three would end up dead. Seeing this, the girls would fall to the ground, exhausted and injured. Eagle. I guess we won this battle. Furious Fence. Statistically yes, but we are on the verge of losing consciousness. In that, the Furious Fence would detransform just like the Eagle. Jessica. I hope our mothers don't get angry. Eon. I hope so too. Thus, both of them would be unconscious. Xenovia. Well I guess we could do it. Arena. Yes, you're right, but now let's rest a little. Xenovia. I guess we deserve it. So Xenovia and Arena would be unconscious. Meanwhile with Ladybug and Queen Bee and Rena Rouge and Lady Dragon. They couldn't take it anymore because they were very hurt, just like Lila. Lila. It's useless, you won't beat me. Ladybug. Do it now, Lady Dragon. So Lady Dragon would turn into a snake grabbing Lila. Ladybug. Your turn Queen Bee. Queen Bee. Poison. So Queen Bee would paralyze Lila and Ladybug would take away the butterfly Miraculous. Ladybug. Yes, we do it. Thus the four would fall to the ground unconscious, no longer able to bear their wounds. Ladybug. Adrian, please take care. So Ladybug would be unconscious. Meanwhile with the boys. They had problems since Chimera had activated its final form, thus complicating things. Shell. It is impossible to get close. Monkey King. And my power to alter other people's powers, I don't think it will work. But then Todoroki had an idea. Todoroki. I need an opening, me and Chat Noir will take care of it. Lita. Are you sure? Chat Noir. If we want to finish him off, I have to use my cataclysm to destroy him. Shell. Then we'll have your back. Kirishima. That's right. Afterwards Todoroki would explain his plan to them. Thus, with his speed, they would have Chimera while the Monkey King beat him. While Todoroki carried Kirishima with him and Chat Noir carried Carapace. Hiroshima. All this that's happening reminds me of when we faced this guy in our world. Todoroki. Yes, but this time it will be different. Hiroshima. No matter what happens I will endure it, make sure you defeat Todoroki. Shell. I've got you, Chat Noir. I trust you. So Kirishima would activate his hardening to the maximum. Hiroshima. Indestructible red riot. Shell. Shield. Thus Chimera would launch a powerful beam of power, but Kirishima and Carapace would resist until Chimera would stop. Hiroshima shell. Do it. Thus the two would fall to the ground unconscious. Then Todoroki goes on the attack accompanied by Chat Noir. Todoroki. If it's possible with fire, it's also possible with ice. Then that Chat Noir using his staff would be stopping Chimera, but Lita and Monkey King would help him. Lita. Todoroki. So Todoroki would put his hand in Chimera's mouth, thus starting to freeze him. Todoroki. Go to the limit. So Chimera would move his arm and tail, making Ida and Monkey King hit each other and fall to the ground hurt. Chat Noir. Lita, Monkey King. But Chat Noir would be hit by Chimera's tail, but he would not give up. So Todoroki with all his strength would manage to freeze Chimera. Chat Noir. Cataclysm. Thus Chat Noir would completely destroy Chimera's body so that it would fall to the ground. Todoroki. It's time to go where you belong, you damn beast. Chat Noir. Marinette. Thus Chat Noir would be unconscious. Todoroki. We did our part, now it's up to you Midoriya Bakugo Uraraka. So Todoroki would be completely unconscious. Meanwhile. Now Izuku and Bakugo were facing 9, while Uraraka was taking care of Najire who had been injured. Jiru. How was it that Midoriya and Bakugo were able to defeat that guy in our world? Haminari. He asked me the same thing too. Uraraka knew how Izuku was able to beat 9, but she couldn't tell about One for All. Haminari. We must help them. Uraraka. Don't forget that our priority is to protect Kitsuma and Mihoro and also Eri and Kota. Jiru. And you don't care about your husband? Uraraka. I'm worried about Deku-kun, but I know he'll be okay. While they were talking the children were watching the battle. Eri Kitsuma Mihoro Kota. Deku. Author's note. Watch the video from the beginning to 034, end of note. The boys couldn't believe that lightning had killed Izuku and Bakugo. Uraraka. No, this can't be. Jiru. Hey Kaminari, where are you? At that Uraraka would fall to her knees and start to cry. Uraraka, crying. Deku-kun. At that Jiru would see that 9 was approaching. Jiru. Uraraka, you have to take the children. I will do everything possible to stop it. Uraraka. Sniff sniff, but you won't be able to beat him alone. At that Najire would rise. Najire. I'll help Jiru, you take the children and we'll take care of Momo too. Uraraka. Sniff sniff is fine, but sniff be careful. So Uraraka would carry Momo and then leave with the children. Najire. We have to stop him and fast so Uraraka can get to the exit. Jiru. Yes. Meanwhile 9 would see that Uraraka was leaving with the children, so she would be walking towards them, but Jiru would appear. Jiru. Sonic Pulse. So the Sonic Pulse would go towards 9. Najire. Wave of energy. So the two attacks would hit 9, but using the gift of the blue dragons, would send Najire and Jiru flying. Meanwhile Uraraka and the children continued to escape, but then Momo would wake up and see that an attack of 9 was heading towards them. Momo. Careful. So Momo would receive Uraraka's attack and the children would fall to the ground. Uraraka. Yeah Momo. So Momo would create a shield. Momo. Go away Uraraka, take the children quickly. At that, 9 would activate his air shield, protecting himself from an attack from Jiru. Jiru. Quickly run away. Najire. Hurry up. Momo. Escape. But then the 3 would be sent flying, but Mihoro would go to attack 9. Uraraka. Mihoro wait. So 9 would grab Mihoro by the neck. 9. Give me the child, if you don't want the brat to die, then give me the child and my dreams will come true. At that Kitsuma would run towards where 9 was. Kitsuma, crying. Sister. Eri Kota. Kitsuma. Uraraka. Don't do it. Kitsuma, crying. Don't worry, I'll protect you, I'll protect my sister from villains like you. In that, 9 would throw Mihoro to then try to grab Kitsuma, but in that. Izuku. Smayash. So Izuku would send 9 flying with a kick. While Bakugo grabbed Mihoro. Eri Kota. Deku, Mr. Bakugo. Uraraka was happy that her husband was safe. Izuku. Sorry for being late, you did a good job Kitsuma, you did very well. Bakugo would take down Mihoro. Mihoro. Bakugo, are you okay? Bakugo. I already told you no, I will surpass All Might and become the #1 hero. So Mihoro would smile. At that point, 9 was getting up. Izuku. Take Mihoro and Eri and Kota quickly. Kitsuma. Yes. So Kitsuma would take Mahoro, Eri and Kota. Izuku. Uraraka-chan, you try to keep Momo, Najire and Jiru safe. Uraraka. Okay Deku-kun. So Uraraka would grab Momo, Najire and Jiru and then Izuku and Bakugo would launch an attack, being stopped by 9. 9. How they survived my lightning. Izuku. Yes, we had already received it before. Bakugo. That's why we asked the electric to receive the thunder for us. Meanwhile with Kaminari he couldn't move. Kaminari. I blew a fuse. So Kaminari would fall to the ground. Meanwhile with a big explosion 9 was about to lose, but 9. This isn't over yet, it can't end like this. This would lead to more storm clouds appearing. 9. With this power, everything ends. Thus 9 would unleash all his power. Thus creating a tornado. Izuku. What do we do? Kitsuma is still here and the people of the city could be affected. Bakugo annoyed. Maybe he plans to destroy this whole city. Izuku. We have to stop him. So Izuku and Bakugo would launch an attack. Izuku. Detroit's Ash. Bakugo. Explosive impact. So the two would be trying to stop the tornado, but they couldn't, but then Uraraka would activate her zero gravity trying to stop the tornado. Uraraka. Come on, it works. But the three would be dragged by a tornado, but Bakugo would be very injured, thus falling to the ground, while 9 attacked Izuku and Uraraka and then used the blue dragons and grab Izuku and Uraraka, but in that. Kitsuma. Deku no. Mahoro Eri. Uraraka-san. Kota Kitsuma. No Deku no. So Izuku and Uraraka would see the children and Kitsuma was healing Momo and Najire and Jiru. Eri Kitsuma Mahoro Kota. They can't lose. 9. So there they were. So 9 would start walking towards the children. At that point, Izuku had an idea. Izuku. Uraraka-chan. This is how Uraraka would see Izuku. Izuku. I think there is a way and it is the only way there is. So Uraraka would see Izuku impressed while he remembered All Might's words. Flashback. All Might. My gift is like a torch of power that passes from generation to generation. End of flashback. Author's note. Listen to the epic song by Mighty for this moment. End of note. Uraraka didn't want to hold Izuku's hand, but there was no other way. Izuku. You Uraraka-chan. At that Uraraka would remember the words that All Might had said in his battle against All for One and then extend his hand. Uraraka. Deku-kun. And so they would remember the words that All Might said in the attack of the League of Villains in the USJ. Thoughts of Izuku and Uraraka. Izuku. A way to save them. Uraraka. A way to win. So the two would be about to hold hands. Izuku Uraraka. There's only one way. Out of your thoughts. In that, the two would manage to hold hands, thus freeing themselves from the blue dragons. 9. What are they doing? From the dust would come Izuku and Uraraka. Uraraka. Cough cough, tell me something Deku-kun, can you use it too? Izuku. I don't know, but All might be able to use it after transferring it to me. Angry 9. What did they do? At that, Izuku and Uraraka's bodies would begin to shine. Izuku Uraraka. 2 1 for all. So Izuku would activate 1 for all at 100%. Izuku. With this we will save them. And Uraraka would also activate 1 for all at 100%. Uraraka. With this we will win. 9. No, they won't beat me. So 9 would create a bigger tornado. Uraraka. Having done this, your dream will end, Deku-kun. Izuku. It doesn't matter, there is no other way. Besides, All Might would agree that you received it, you also shared my secret and always admired the same person, if it's you. So Uraraka would remember why she wants to be a hero and would clench her fist just like Izuku and then scream. Uraraka. He will always win. Izuku. He will always smiley. 9. Don't make me laugh. So Izuku and Uraraka would prepare. Izuku Uraraka. Detroit it's osh. So Izuku and Uraraka would be straining and in the process breaking their arms, but they would manage to destroy 9's tornado. 9. What is that? So 9 would see Izuku and Uraraka. 9. Annoyed. What is that poyer? So Izuku and Uraraka would open their eyes seeing 9. Thus 9 would further increase his power. 9. They're not going to stop me from fulfilling my dream. So Uraraka's arm would hurt. Izuku. Resist Uraraka-chan. Uraraka. Okay, let's finish him off once and for all. Thus the two would launch an attack. 9. They won't stop it. Thus the battle would begin, Uraraka would throw several stones, while Izuku would fight until Uraraka would fall to the ground, while Izuku would launch an attack, and then Uraraka would grab a huge stone. He'd then throw it towards 9, but he would block the rock and Uraraka would fly, but would be caught by Izuku, and he would manage to destroy 9's shields, causing an explosion that would make 9 fly, but he would not give up, and he would launch himself into the attack just like Izuku and Uraraka. Izuku's thoughts. Izuku. This will be possibly the last time my last. Smayosh. Out of your thoughts. So Izuku would kick 9 hard while Uraraka launched a giant gravitational beam, thus killing 9, and so Izuku and Uraraka would begin to fall, but Izuku still had the one for all, while Uraraka would smile while they fell and held hands. Uraraka. We did it, Deku-kun. Izuku. Yes, we did. So the two would hug each other tightly and then finally fall to the ground. Minutes later. In the subway was none other than Bunnix trying to wake up Xenovia and Irina. Bunnix. Hey girls, wake up. So Xenovia and Irina would wake up seeing Bunnix. Xenovia. Bunnix. Irina. What are you doing here? Bunnix. Well, I was just passing through and also good company came. So Xenovia and Irina would turn around seeing Majestia and Nighthawk. Meanwhile with Issei and Rias. They would wake up seeing that everything was calm, but there was destruction. Issei. Well, we made it, but there was still destruction. Rias. Even so, we managed to win. After a few minutes, everyone would be served and then meet at the Eiffel Tower. Bakugo. Hey, has anyone seen that useless Deku? On that. Izuku. Here I am. At that, everyone would turn around seeing that Izuku and Uraraka were there walking even though they were hurt. Uraraka. The good thing is that you didn't lose the one for all, Deku-kun. Izuku. Yes, that's good, but if the transfer wasn't completed, how do you remember everything? Uraraka. I don't know either, but I didn't want to forget that. So everyone would approach Izuku and Uraraka. Haminari. Are you both okay? Izuku. Yes, we are fine, although a little hurt. Issei. Then we win. So everyone would bump their fists. Everyone. We win. At that moment, all the Parisians would arrive, as well as Sona, Seraphim and Ravel, who would quickly go and hug Issei, while Mina and Toga hugged Izuku. Hero. Well, it seems they didn't need our help after all. 02. We also had a feeling they would win. Bunnix would approach them then. Bunnix. It seems that everything ended well as I saw it. Issei. Wait, you mean you already knew what was going to happen and you didn't tell us anything? Bunnix. One law of time is that you don't have to interfere with the events of the future. Izuku. Well, it's still good that it's all over. Ladybug. But first I'll use the enchanted amulet. Rias. What if we do it together? Ladybug. Good idea. Irikitsuma Mahoro Koda. Us too please. So everyone would join their hands around the enchanted amulet that was a pocket watch and then throw it into the sky. Everyone. Miraculous Ladybug. So all the damage would return to normal. Momo. Well, I think we all agree that we need a good rest after this battle. All. Yes. 2 months later. Issei narrates. Time had passed and many things happened, for example Lila and Felix went to prison, well as Bunnix had told us, thanks to Sona, we were able to create a dimensional machine to visit our world, and Izuku could also visit his world from time to time. Nara Izuku. In addition to the fact that in my world the League of Villains was captured, and shortly after they died as well as All for One, we all decided to stay in the world of Ladybug and Chatnoir, since it was a good place to live. In addition, the rest of Class 1A always visited this world, and over time we became more recognized. Issei and Izuku narrate. But even so, this adventure we live is one of the best because despite everything, we continue fighting and never give up because we are heroes forever and ever. Normal narration. At that moment everyone was gathered for a photo. Issei. Okay, everyone say plus ultra. So the camera would be about to take the photo. All. Plus ultra. So the photo would be taken and then Izuku would put it on the wall. Uraraka. Deku-kun, come, lunch is ready. Izuku. It's okay. So Izuku would go with Uraraka and Momo and Najira and Mina and Toga. Izuku. Let's go together. So Izuku would grab Uraraka and Momo's hands while they grabbed Najira and Mina's hands and the latter grabbed Toga's and thus began to walk. While Issei had also done the same with his wives, going to lunch with everyone. And in Colorado, this story is over. And let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.